check Twitter too.
Ready, set, go!
Yeah, whole team on a loose. Kick it up like Kung Fu. Untamed, yeah, cool. Running plays like who knew. Hella fast when I slide through. You would've thought we was in a zoo. Engine roar like a lion do. Yeah, devil, I'm a damn fool. Switching lanes, hanging out the roof. Tires screech when I bend the corner. All you see is a big poof. Then I'm leaving my initials. Street marks, I'm official. Taking off like a missile. You can hear the wind whistle.
Yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Hey, yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Ready, set, go! 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 Ready, set, go! 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 Yeah, ready, set, go!
Get into it like pronto, get hit with a combo. Do it large, real jumbo, so dirty like gumbo. Big money in a two-seater, hair blowing, you see her. I got her, you need her. Never would I wanna be her. And I've been grinding all of my life. Now look at my sights, mile high, I'm fly. Ride till I die. Look how I arrive, like the president inside. See the look in their eyes.
I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Ready, set, go!
Ready, set, go, let's go. Go, on your mark, go. Yeah, ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. On your mark, go. Let's go. Go,
Yeah, ready, set, go!
Yeah, and you know I like big coupes. Two-seater with the missing roof. Run the meter to a can't boot. I'm the best, got them all mute. Break the bank, talking big loot. Business talk, making big moves. Full tank, no I can't lose. Left them in the dust confused. All I ever did was break rules. Full throttle, I don't like cruise. Guess I got a couple screws loose. Son devil, I'm a damn fool. Ain't no telling what I might do. Taking off like a missile. Street marks, I'm official.
Yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Hey, yeah, I don't think they ready. I don't really think they want it. I don't think they ready. Ready, set, go!
ready, set, go. Let's go. Go, on your mark, go. Yeah,
Ready, set, go!
ready, set, go. On your mark, go. Let's go. Go, let's go.
Ready, set, go!
Go, go, go.
Yeah, ready, set, go!
Go, go, go.
Yeah, ready, set, go! Go! Yeah, ready, set, go!
You can put your headphones on too. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardinellis. Today I'm joined in the studio by Hayden Holm from Salty Saints, as well as by his brother tagging along, and via Zoom by none other than our dear friend, the other Hayden, Carroll. And today we are going to be reacting to this presentation that just came down, Soft White Underbelly. If you guys are familiar with Soft White Underbelly, it's actually a great program that I enjoy myself. That's why I was so disappointed to see Anti-Mormon Beau Oyler showing up, masquerading as an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was a deeply dishonest diatribe that will be debunked in this episode. Before we go any further, guys, I have to say I'm stoked to have hilarious individuals like Hayden and Hayden in the studio today. So we're going to be having hopefully a lot of fun with such a dark subject. If it veers too dark, we'll just end up joking about different things because we talk anything and anything tangential to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But this one reached the threshold of having to be debated and challenged, I would say, if not just because of the sheer volume of Soft White Underbelly. So I'll just give my really brief opinion first, and then we can dive right into conversing about this. Hayden, I do believe you had some timestamps ready for this. I had a list of timestamps written by, or written here as well, and I think everybody else did too. We could talk for days about this. It was basically, I don't know, how would you describe it, Hayden? Like taking all of the Gen Xer ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon tropes on the ex-Mormon subreddit and just cramming them into 1 hour and 11-minute video. Is that a fair representation?
Yeah, if I could put it one way, I would say that I had my bingo card out, and I got bingo pretty quickly by like the halfway point.
You did. Oh, and the other Hayden. I just realized, Hayden Carroll, we've got a problem here. There's two Haydens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you want to call me,
dude? I don't know. What I just have to use your first and last names, I guess. So.
Just Hayden in studio and Hayden.
I'll say the good-looking brunette one, and then just cause even more confusion. I was hoping you guys would start fighting over the title.
I'm blushing.
Like blood sport.
You got to tell my wife.
Yeah. So anyway, here's my only beef with this. I don't care if you disagree with me. I care if you lie about me. And the only thing that I'm going to say at the very beginning of this, I'm sure I'm going to chime in afterwards, but I deeply tire of people who are disaffected, anti-Mormon, ex-Mormons, ex-members of our faith who have either been excommunicated, kicked out of the church, for lack of a better term, or have voluntarily rage quit on quitmormon.com and telephone posts on Facebook and everything, now coming back into mainstream culture and predating upon and also exploiting the general ignorance of the general population by self-representing as Mormons. It's deeply dishonest. Beau Oyler, what you did was deeply dishonest multiple times. When able to correct the record, you did not. And it's a disservice not just to, I think just humanity in general, just dishonesty is bad. It's a disservice to the audience. I grow tired of people who are not members of our faith speaking for members of our faith. And I want to just get this straight from the very beginning, okay? This is my real only beef for the first opening part of this episode, is we are not an ethno-religion. This is what the modern breed of ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon tries to do. They try and get on mainstream culture shows saying they're Mormon, but we're not an ethno-religion. You can be Jewish, stop going to synagogue, quit believing in Torah, and you are still ethnically Jewish. Therefore, it is not a misrepresentation for you to say, oh, yes, I'm Jewish. Okay? You should offer, I'm not practicing, I'm not Orthodox, and so on and so forth. But there's more wiggle room there because it's an ethno-religion. We are not an ethno-religion. Catholicism is not an ethno-religion. Evangelical Christianity is not an ethno-religion. If you are a resigned on quitmormon.com, which I believe is Beau Oyler's story, or an excommunicated member of the church, just like John DeLynn, who he's best friends with, talks about it in this episode, and you run Mormon stories purposefully representing yourself as Mormon, you're not Mormon. You don't get to be Catholic, lose your faith in Catholicism, start blogging anti-Catholic blogs, and then when the Washington Post says, oh, we need to speak to a Catholic about the new Pope, say, oh, yes, I'm Catholic. Oh, how do you feel about the new Pope? Oh, except for his racism, that's great. You know, that's dishonest, and that is exactly what John DeLynn and Beau Oyler do. They call themselves bridge builders in a recent episode, but they didn't do any bridge building. They just burnt everything they could, every bridge in 20 miles to the ground, just rehearsing a bunch of anti-Mormon tropes. So Beau Oyler, like just mano a mano here. Sorry if that offends you. What you did was just a deeply dishonest diatribe. And if you don't like that, fine. I will fly you to the studio and you can sit right there in that chair and you can defend yourself and you can say everything is horrible about the church and what was it? It was the smorgasbord. Oh yeah, we're protecting pedophiles while trying to, enable
Don't forget
embezzlement, racism, transphobia, anti-feminism, anti-intellectualism. You can say all of that while sitting in that chair until you're blue in the face. You will have carte blanche access to a 90-minute live stream of my time, but you will not do it claiming to be Mormon. Okay? You will not do it claiming that we're all just a bunch of fundamentalist adjacent polygamists trying to Trojan horse polygamy down the throats of our unwitting and unwilling wives and all the other horrendous straw men that you did in this episode. You will self-represent as an ex-Mormon. You don't even have to call yourself an anti-Mormon. I just care that you do not lie. I don't care if you disagree with me. Just don't lie about me. And Beau Oyler, you just lied for nearly 90 minutes straight on a channel that has 6.7 million subscribers. And I think that's an ugly thing to do to anybody of any faith. So I'm sorry. This is not fun. And I love having fun. So I don't know. Where do I go wrong? I feel like I should flip a coin between Hayden and Hayden. Hayden Carroll, you go. You're articulate, my man. Well, you go.
No, I mean, I think we should just start watching the clips. I will say that how common is it for somebody to start to lean into their progressive political views? And that actually is what is fueling their separation from the church, essentially, is what's happening. So you'll notice as you watch this, and if you're not Latter-day Saint, you'll realize Beau is actually criticizing most of Christianity, right? He's criticizing organizations that hold people to any standard that is not his own. And so I do think we should just start watching this and kind of see his mindset, and I think it speaks for itself.
Okay, cool. So which one do you want us to jump into?
Let's start the first one, 5840, for about 20 or 30 seconds.
Oh, 5840. That was your first one. Interesting. Okay. I thought it was hilarious. I was just going to have us watch the first 2 minutes to 3 minutes and 15 seconds. He could not do they're a cult that's polygamist in the first I got that. I think it's important just to watch these first few clips, just show his mindset. That will kind of frame and help us understand where he's coming from, because he doesn't let that out until about an hour into it. Okay.
So let's see where he's at, and then it will make a lot
we'll
of
do that. Real quick.
Yeah.
How does somebody get onto a show like White Underbelly? Is this because, like, the way it seems like he was just pulled off the street? Is this something he had to volunteer for? Is this something like somebody put out? Like
there's different channels have different methods. Like getting on Jubilee, oftentimes there's an open call. Yeah. Guys like White Underbelly have done everything. I actually have been in. I live in Los Angeles. He records a lot in Los Angeles. In fact, he's done a lot down on Skid Row and whatnot.
Yeah.
I have. We have friends in the same circles down here.
Oh.
Where I have friends that have worked with him briefly on small projects and whatnot. It's a mixed bag. Like, no two shows are the same. I would say there's less industry standards in YouTube than there is in, like, film and television. So I don't know exactly in the case of White Underbelly, but this is another thing I think we should get out of the way. I actually thought White Underbelly was far more, like, truth-seeking and honest with some of his clarifications as the journalist in this scenario than even the subject Beau Oyler was. And I don't think he did that much wrong, because, like, if I did a cattle call saying, hey, I really need to speak to a Jew regarding this famous rabbi's death that had a worldwide following or something, and I got 17 emails of 17 people claiming, oh yeah, I'm a Jew. One could be a disaffected Jew that hates Judaism and has even adopted some anti-Semitic views in his journeys online. And he talks the talk, he speaks the words I can't pronounce correctly. He claims to be a Jew. How on earth would I know the difference? So sure, come on. He's got a great story. It's compelling. How do you verify? If you don't know what a temple recommend is, you can't just say, okay, show me your temple recommend. If you don't know what a bishop is, how would you say, like, oh, okay. I actually find it interesting. The evangelical community now even is tackling this issue by posting on their podcast their local church endorsements.
Oh.
Yeah, like that Greg Sturka guy, I give him credit. He's got, he thinks Mormonism is antichrist, and And he did a reaction actually to you, Hayden. Oh, this is news. This is breaking news, Hayden Carroll.
Ooh, sorry, who did this?
You know the guy that did, I think it was your first reaction, where he took one of your Charlie Kirk style videos and he said, Christians say they're Mormon, here's why they aren't. I believe it was in our group thread earlier.
Yes, I know
that video. Yeah. I commented on that, and I said, "Hey, this is Carden from Ward Radio. If you'd like to come on our studio, I'll fly you out free of charge, and we'll talk. Would you be willing to speak directly with Hayden, face to face?" And a bunch of people commented, said, "Oh, if you have any intellectual honesty at all, you'll take them up on this. Like, oh, please do this. Oh, I want to see this." And so I guess he took it seriously enough. He responded. He said, "Reach out on my website." So I go to his website. And I reach out, and now we're in correspondence and so on and so forth. Everything seems to be going in good faith, I'd say. But I thought it was very interesting that on his About Me and on the Contact Us, there was like a link that literally said like local church endorsement. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So he's showing like, hey,
It's like a badge. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's like their evangelical temple recommend.
He's the church police. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if it's police, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. He's got a badge.
So, okay. You say you want to go where to start out?
I think it was 5840 to 5906. That's about 30 seconds.
Okay.
He just talks about, well, let's just watch it.
Okay. So here we are on 5840. Beau Oyler on Soft White Underbelly. Go.
A member of the ward would be like, oh, I need help. Here, you have a job. Oh, you're part of the one true church upon the face of the earth. You have all the answers. Sense of a sense of being and sense of like who you are. Like that was all great. But the trade-off for me ultimately began to harm me. And it didn't allow me personally to develop into the person that I knew I could be.
Okay, pause there. So now, Carden, pull up the let's see the person he wanted to become. Pull up the comment from Riker Kimball rather.
Okay.
It's one comment,
right
but
here?
it's
the one you put in.
Screenshots.
Okay, I got it. It's the one you put into the Discord.
Yeah, read that for us. This is a personal testimony of somebody who worked with Beau after he left the church.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I haven't read this yet. There's no like swear words or anything in it, right?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't want like the algorithms to get like pissed at me.
Demonetized in this one.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
So, by the way, this is just proof how much I trust you.
Good.
This is proof how much I trust you. I read some things. I don't know. Maybe I did read this one. I got to find out. Here we are. It says, Beau hired me and was my boss for 2 years at a design agency. I knew him well and watched his faith transition happen in real time. Deep down, he was kind and well-meaning. Oh, that's good to hear. Over time, he leaned hard into progressive ideology. That makes sense. Putting politics ahead of faith, which I think is always a mistake no matter the political ideology. 100% agreed. What's his name? Riker Kimball. Okay. Anytime he came into the office, I felt uneasy without fail. He would make edgy sexual jokes, overshare about his sex life, or go off on anti-Mormon talking points. He once bragged about driving both his wife and his own mother to a sex shop so they could buy sex toys. He also loved to lean into the fact that he was a former bishop as a kind of appeal to authority. In an office of 10 people, 8 of us were active members, so this constant behavior created real tension, especially when he brought John DeLynn. He brought John DeLynn? Well, hold on. Actually, I need to practice solid journalistic integrity here and say, I have not verified this comment. I have not verified that this actually happened. Yeah. So at this point, this is just a comment on YouTube. And if I took seriously every comment on YouTube that was said about me by ex-Mormon, anti-Mormons, I'd be a clown who was lying about his leukemia, bankrupt, on the street, sexually harassing every single person that I came in contact with, while spreading STDs by fogging the air with Ritalin and methamphetamines. Like, I mean, these people are just
sounds like I should be worried.
Yeah, exactly. And if I was worried about getting demonetized right there, I just did. But anyway, okay. So he continues. This commenter continues. And says he also loved to lean on the fact that he was a former bishop's kind of appeal to authority. In an office of 10 people, 8 of us were active members, so this constant behavior created real tension, especially when he brought John DeLynn to the office to meet everyone. Eventually, he was forced out as the founder of the agency after repeatedly sending sexual memes in the company Slack. What? It's really sad to see him grow as being the wrong reason. I want to see it as a cautionary tale of anyone trying to serve two masters does to a person. Okay, so
What's his? So let's talk about this, and then we'll watch.
We can't verify this though.
No, that's not,
I should have read this. That was my fault as a producer of the show. That I should have read that comment before. But I get what you're saying. This is a difficult story to make up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess somebody could have made it up. Riker or Kimball, if you're in the chat, come on stream with us and give us your in-person testimony. No, I just think it says a lot about who he is and his relationship to the church. I mean, why are you bringing John Dehlin into your work of active Latter-day Saint company? I don't know if he owned the company. It says he was my boss. I wonder if he owned the company. I'm not sure. So you have him interacting even inappropriately with his coworkers.
Well, okay, so hold on. I want to skip this because to me, I take very seriously when I defend what's been said about my faith seriously enough to bypass low-hanging fruit if I can't verify it.
Okay, well, let's go back to Beau then.
I was going to say, let's go back to the timestamps here because though there's plenty of a chance that this could be true, you know, unless I've talked to the guy myself, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to just be doing that. So,
if I was wearing a hat right now, I would tip it.
Oh, you would tip it?
Look at that. What a gentleman.
Funny.
You're a gentleman
hey,
and
look,
a scholar.
by the way, this is a courtesy that's never done to us.
Hey, look at that. Hey.
Like ever. Never done to us. Okay? So let's go back. Tell us a timestamp that you want to jump through. Tell us a timestamp.
3330, he talks about being a bishop and how he interacted in temple recommend interviews and with other bishops in his stake. So from his own words.
Okay, cool. Sick. Can we just do the opening one really fast? Can we just do the opener and then we'll go to all your timestamps? Hayden Carroll, can we do that?
Yeah, totally. Whatever
Okay, cool. So, dude, I couldn't believe this. This is really funny. Like, when I watched this, I knew we were in for trouble. Handsome devil, this Beau Oyler. Oh, and by the way.
So my question, real quick, is why is he interviewing with a picture day photographer out of the 90s? Okay. Did anyone else see that? Am I the only one?
I wish I had a stash like that on picture day.
Wouldn't that be
I
great?
wish you had your mic in your face, bro, so I could hear your deep, dulcet tones.
Get ready.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so just kidding. So, yeah, it does kind of look like the 90s picture day thing, but I actually think it's very flattering. So, and very well lit.
They do it for a reason.
He had the Rembrandt 3-point lighting here with the perfect shadow cast across Beau Oyler's nose. Very good lighting. So here we go. We'll start out at growing up Mormon in California. Let's see here.
Yes, I do. And I would say cult is so low.
Wait, no, here we go. So here we go. Okay.
State.
So I grew up in Carmel, California, Central Coast.
So not Utah, but...
No, not Utah. So I live in Salt Lake City now, but we moved there a few years ago. So
I'm not going to call that a downgrade, though the California Mormon in me completely wants to. But anyway, we'll just keep
spent
going.
my whole life in California.
And was it like growing up Mormon in Carmel?
Yeah, so we were like one of the only families in Carmel. And we were kind of like the family where we had to drive into Monterey like 20, 25 minutes to get to church. And my dad was the bishop of the congregation there, which is like the father of the congregation. And it was just our life. Like, it was kind of everything. But it was an ideal place to grow up, too.
Okay, so far, it's going pretty well. You know what I'm saying?
Foul.
Yeah, no harm, no foul. Just telling a story. And this, guys, John Dehlin needs to move aside. Maybe even, dude, Julie Hanks and Beau Oyler. Like, I think Beau Oyler is 10 times more effective of an anti-Mormon than John Dehlin.
Oh, for sure.
Ooh.
Oh,
Why do you say that? Tell me. Give me the reasons.
Because look at this opener right now. Charismatic dude, cool hippie curly hair, very low key, t-shirt underneath the working class collared shirt with some simple khakis and rainbow sandals. That's kind of like the cool beach vibe thing. Like, this is the handsome Gen Xer that everybody kind of wants to trust and kind of like, and he's got the vibe. as a member of the church that knows what's truth and what's error and what he's going to say, you absolutely get the ick. But the average person, you dream to have this guy be the assistant principal at your high school. And what's anti-Mormon rule number 5? They're always shrouding evil action in noble sound bites.
Right. So are you telling me this guy looks more approachable and more handsome than
Yes.
John DeLynn? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think he is far more charismatic. And John DeLynn's a masterclass, but I think Beau Oyler's got an edge on him.
I see what you're saying.
And
John DeLynn definitely seems like the kind of guy that would be dancing to Rockefeller Skank down the cheese aisle at Harmon's, like
what?
He strikes me as one of those guys, like a cheesemonger.
Yeah. Okay. That's
But Beau Oyler, you could definitely hacky sack with that guy.
Totally.
Yes,
totally.
you could hacky sack.
You could
with him.
longboard
Very
with him
chill dude.
all day.
Longboard. That's a great reference. So here we go. So it's starting out well. Let's see how it goes.
I mean, Carmel's Carmel.
Yeah, Carmel's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
What was your childhood like being Mormon?
So I grew up there's 4 boys in my family, and
By the way, I forgot what he says, but I've mentioned this on other podcasts. We've all been down this road before. You're allowed to say one good thing about your Mormon upbringing in ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon circles, but then you better get down to the trauma and the abuse.
Brass tacks. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you better get down to it. And
You
if
take
you
the first
don't-
exit.
Yeah, if you don't remember it, we will inculcate it for you via the Hive Mind on ex-Mormon subreddit. So you better take that first exit fast, man. Let's see how long it takes Beau Oyler to take that first exit.
Mormonism brought structure to us for sure,
Okay, you're allowed to say that.
and it brought like a really deep sense of purpose and a really deep sense of like who we were, right? Like from the tiniest, like when we were little, it's like you're special, you're a child of God, you are a future priesthood holder, you're a future leader.
But you better make sure you show the dark side of this by the time you've done the subject. Now we need the predicate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now we need the predicate. You better get down to it. Let's see if he does.
Like you're part of the kingdom of God on the earth, and your role in this kingdom is to bring as many people into it as possible.
Not true. That is, we take missionary work very seriously, obviously. But what did Russell M. Nelson just spend 8 years of his presidency doing? Helping us remember our identities. First as a child of God. Second as a...
Disciple of Christ, child of the covenant.
Yep,
Christ.
disciple of
Yep.
Christ and
Yes.
child of the covenant. Your first job is to take your baptismal covenants upon you very seriously, which is to mourn with those that mourn, comfort those that stand in need of comfort. Be a Christian through the ministry of presence and also through service to others. It's not just to bring more people to the kingdom.
And we kind of grew up with that like mission-driven purpose.
So this right here, this is why he's so good. Misrepresenting not just the stated and the preached goals of the church. He's laying the foundation for all the good ex-Mormon subreddit stuff. High demand religion, because it's all that missionary work that requires you to go out and be a high demand religionist. Like this is why this dude from the beginning was playing the linguistic long game. It's a masterclass, bro. Beau Oyler, you're good at this, dog. You're good at this. So let's keep going.
Right? We're just like, we're special in this way. So it gave confidence.
Do you looking back at it now, do you see it as a cult?
Oh, now, okay. Ooh, there's the question right there. He uses the word very special because at the end of the day, that's the hint. That's the linchpin. You're allowed to give the backhanded compliment to the girl if you want to pick her up on the party, if it's one you're going to be exploiting later. This is like pickup artist 101. All right. So he's pickup artisting Mormonism. He's saying the things you're allowed to say, but only in as much as they lay the foundation for all the ex-Mormon subreddit anti-Mormon tropes later. So let's go back
A future
10
priesthood
seconds.
holder,
Here
you're
we
a
go.
future leader. Like you're part of the kingdom of God on the earth, and your role in this kingdom is to bring as many people into it as possible. And we kind of grew up with that like mission-driven purpose, right? We're just like, we're special in this way. So it gave confidence.
Do you looking back at it now, do you see it as a cult?
Yes. I do. And I would say cult is so loaded.
Yeah, it's a loaded word.
Okay, so I actually specifically let it play until that point, so he can't say that I misrepresented here. 30 seconds left.
Loaded. By definition, it's a cult, and it's the nicest cult in the world.
Okay, by the way, by whose definition? They constantly refer to the bite model, which is a failed definition. Have you ever met a definition that's held by any law enforcement agency out there that actually holds water to classifying us as a cult, Hayden Carroll?
No, not a single one.
Any thoughts on this before we continue?
No, I think there's so many good clips here that he starts to reveal his mindset as he starts to lose his faith and some of the things he does in the church. I think my major issue with this is he kind of is putting himself on this moral high horse while saying that the church is nefarious and is controlling all these things. But then he's saying essentially that he was being dishonest in his service. So I don't know if he's proud of the sabotage, but I think as we continue to look at some of these timestamps that we're going to be able to see what he's really all about.
There's only 45 seconds left in the one timestamp I was going to do, which is the very beginning, so we'll let it play out. Go.
It really is. And it's like, and I'm not one of these people who like, you listen to cult documentaries or whatever, and you're just like, they're like, fuck the church. It was horrible. It did nothing but bad things. Like, I don't feel that way at all. Like, I'm so grateful that I was raised Mormon and that I've spent the vast majority of my life being Mormon. It brought a lot of good.
Okay, cool. But there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. You're allowed to say it, but you better get off that freeway as soon as you can.
I also brought a lot of shadow.
My first portrait.
Oh, but it also brought a lot of shadow. Oh, this is well, what's that shadow now? We gotta jump right in.
Project Create Equal. I went into a Mormon community, I think in Utah, and we saw we were inside the house with families that have 12, 13 kids.
Wow.
We saw it pretty intimately.
Yeah.
And you can sense when there's really weird
I'm going to double speed this. Hold on.
Sure.
I didn't feel any of that.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty wholesome, and everyone seemed smiling, and the kids seemed happy, and the wives didn't seem to be like abused or anything like that. It seemed pretty happy and healthy.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to find with a lot of Mormon families. And there are offshoots, right? So like there's the fundamental Mormons, who the fundamentalists are like the polygamists, Southern Utah.
By the way, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is always trying to make clear distinctions between the doctrine of us and other offshoots in order to avoid confusion. Anti-Mormons always try and conflate those distinctions in order to make us look weird. I would bet my bottom dollar that he spends the next 30 to 90 seconds trying to lay a foundation in order to conflate us with the weirdest, most abusive sects of fundamental Mormonism. They never try and compare us with the Bickertonites out in Philadelphia doing good monogamously. They never try and conflate us with the Strangites up in Wisconsin or with the Cutlerites down in Texas. There's always the conflation with Warren Jeffs, the man in jail for abusing minors. That's always the conflation you have to make. And the word salad and the word play that they use with Mormon, or that they use to create confusion with the word Mormon. Hayden, I heard you were about to say something.
Yeah. So so it's interesting because the picture day photographer was making him backpedal a little bit because he was just like, I think this is a cult. And then he's like, well, I visited a family and they didn't seem culty. And then he's like, oh, FLDS, hey, they seem pretty culty, am I right? So he made him backpedal a little bit, and I think that's what you were talking about earlier when you said that White Underbelly was actually challenging some of these beliefs and some of these tropes, because he didn't give any kind of, he's like, I do consider it a cult, but he didn't give any kind of detail or explanation about that. And he was like, well, they didn't seem culty to me. And he was like, well, have you seen the FLDS people? Huh?
Yeah. And it's so interesting. They always talk about a vibe when the vibe helps them, but they don't talk about the vibe, and they talk about the technical definition when the technical definition helps them. They never stick to a lane. So Hayden Carroll, you're about to say something. I was going to finish these last.
No. Let's finish it, and then we'll go on to see what he says about his experience.
Here we go.
Arizona, that area. I didn't grow up in fundamentalist Mormon.
But that's what I saw.
And that's what you saw, for sure, because you said wives. And we see those in Utah. Like, we'll be at Costco, and there'll be like 5 wives who are shopping. I've never been part of that. So that part of the church is like probably the closest to what Joseph Smith's church looked like before he was killed. And that's just lived on in that way.
Dude, I'm sorry. Joseph Smith requiring women to wear one of the same type of dress while having like 27 cultivated females in sexual relationships that are completely exploitative, not letting them talk to the outside world, even to the point of manipulating their hairdos, okay, is not the closest to what did he say it was, Hayden Carroll? The closest to modern Mormonism? No way.
But when Brigham Young took over the church, like he moved it in a very different direction, and ultimately polygamy was abandoned. Although they still practice polygamy, spiritual polygamy in the church today. So, for example, the person who's the president of the church, his name's Dallin Oaks, and he is sealed in the temple, which is our marriage, our version of marriage, to multiple women.
This is such a gross misrepresentation meant to cause confusion in the general public, because this is not a question that's unique to Mormonism. They're making a rom-com right now about a guy that had a first wife who like died or something like that, and then he remarried, and then they all died and they've gone up to heaven now, and the women have to compete for the husband in this rom-com, because it's like a question, like in heaven, if you've been married twice, which spouse are you actually married to, right?
Right.
This is not unique to Mormonism. This question is not like remarrying. It's called serial monogamy. It means you had a wife. Dallin H. Oaks' wife died. She died. It's tragic. She died, so he remarried. And yes, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we believe in celestial marriage, that your marriage continues beyond do death do us part into the eternities. Therefore, there is this question: if a man is sealed in the temple to multiple women during the eternities, which one is which one is he or she sealed to? Well, the church is actually pretty hands-off about this. You're in a bishopric. Have you ever told a man or a woman that, wow, you're stuck in polygamy forever now, babe?
Well, one of the things that the church has said, I think it was Dallin H. Oaks actually that came out with a talk that he said, we know surprisingly little about the afterlife. And when he was approached once by people who were asking him, like, hey, it was a lady who said, I'm getting remarried or something like that, and she's just like, where am I gonna have my own mansion? Am I gonna have my own house? And she was having like this big debate with her kids. So she asked, I think it was Dallin H. Oaks, and he said something along the lines of, you're asking the wrong question, because the question you should be asking is, do you trust Jesus Christ? And if you trust him, then you will know that he will make heaven more wonderful than you can even imagine. And so it kind of goes back to, we don't know a whole lot about the afterlife.
And we are constantly trying to officially disabuse people of the ravages of these deepest and most complex questions by reassuring them that God loves them, that they're a child of God, and he is going to make heaven a beautiful and comfortable place, to get rid of their confusion, get rid of their angst. Meanwhile, Beau Oyler is online answering interview questions in such a conflationary, is that even a word? In the way that maximizes conflation of confusing principles in order to make the church look weird and look utterly polygamous, like Warren Jeffs, who is in prison for sexually abusing multiple minors, controlling up to even what women wear, and like the dresses that they that's the one where they have to wear the certain type of dress. I don't remember that.
Yeah, certain
and
dress
they have to have the
hairdo.
coiffed hair, and like it's bonkers. It's crazy town. I know they're gonna try and clip me and say,
Oh yeah, well, Mormons control what women wear because they have garments.
and it's like, sorry, go tell the Catholics that like their ritualistic garments, that's different than literally not allowing anybody choice, or you get absolutely kicked out of every aspect of your life. Mormonism is the easiest church to leave. You just sleep in. Like you literally just sleep in, and then we come and make you cookies and say like, we missed you, like, please. So
and
anyway,
then you just don't answer the door when the ministering brothers or sisters come by. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Surviving Mormonism.
Okay, so here we go. That's all I have to say on this. I'm sorry. This one got me heated up, dude. It got me heated up. So Hayden, where do we go? Yeah, let's go to timestamp.
3330. He's going to talk about so let's just help the viewers understand, because we're not showing it. To do him his due justice, essentially, when he was serving as a bishop, his wife approaches him with some information on Joseph Smith's polygamy. And apparently this is the first time as a bishop, I think he said he was 32, 33 years old, his first time hearing about Joseph Smith's polygamy. And he basically said, this is anti-Mormon, it's not true. And his wife convinces him, no, it is true. So he starts to have a faith crisis. His wife says, I'll support you. And he essentially says within a year or two of him serving as he served as a 5-year bishop, he starts to lose his faith, and he starts to share some of the things that he did as a bishop with basically no faith. So let's look at 3330 for about 30 seconds. Him and some of the other bishops in his stake, he even said.
Okay, here we go.
It rocked my world, but I wasn't ready to see it and like absorb it yet. And so I just kept serving. But I kept serving in like more and more progressive ways, where at the beginning, like if somebody came in for their temple recommend interview, which means it's like a worthiness interview to be able to go to the temple. At the beginning, I was like 15 questions. You have to exact answers. There's zero tolerance.
Which, by the way, is not, you're in a bishopric. Do you literally go into bishopric interviews thinking 15 questions, zero tolerance, brothers and sisters?
No, surprising, but no, quite frankly. And
yeah.
If there is like a question, like the counsel that I've been given, if there is a question, like let's say somebody's not paying their tithing or somebody's not doing something, as a counselor, the guidance I've been given is to say, all right, let's stop the interview, thank them for sharing that with me, and then just let them know, like, hey, I'm going to refer you to the bishop, because the bishop is the one, he's the judge in Israel. He's going to help you to navigate this and to know how to proceed. And ultimately, it's on the bishop's judgment at that point.
Yeah, by the way, he laid the foundation to make us look like a psychotic, high-demand religion in the first 4 minutes of the video. This is one of the payoffs 33 minutes later. I can tell you that 15 questions, no exceptions, answer or die and not get to participate in our high-demand society is an absolute horrible, deeply dishonest misrepresentation. You know why? Because I've gone through, you get a temple recommend every year or two?
2 years, yeah.
Every 2 years? Okay. I've gone through 15 of these interviews myself, Beau. I've been through them all myself, and I can tell you that's not the way it goes. In fact, I've never answered 15 for 15 a single time, ever. And I went to church in the same state you did, Beau, California, and I've participated in helping people that have had struggles with the church go through temple recommend interviews, overcoming doubts about the church, issues with tithing, home security, family memberships, et al. All of the above. I've been present for them. I've answered questions in them. I have told stake presidents I didn't like to their face, when asked, do you support local leadership of the church? I've said, in spite of my grievous differences with them, including you, I still sustain them because I understand it's a thankless job and we have a lay clergy. And I subordinate my ego to the general goodwill of the congregation, because at the end of the day, any factional problems I have between these people don't matter compared to me helping mourn with those that mourn, comfort those that stand in need of comfort. I have given nearly verbatim that answer. You know what they usually do? They chuckle and they laugh and say, okay, good enough. Because at the end of the day, that's what a temple recommend is about. Good enough. Am I speaking false doctrine, Hayden Carroll?
Not at all. I served in a bishopric myself, and essentially the theme of the interview is, are you trying?
Yeah.
Are you trying?
Like, for example, like if somebody has not paid tithing, right? So if somebody has not paid tithing, and this is a question, I don't know if you guys know the answer, are they supposed to back
No,
pay?
backlog? No, of course not.
No, they're not. No, because the Lord only cares about where they are right now, today. And so they can get a temple recommend without having to back pay any of that tithing if their heart is in the right place and they're willing to commit to it.
But he this is why he's so good. This is why Beau Oyler is so good, because he has to straw man going in, saying, oh, it's 15 questions, hardcore yes, or you're out. Why? Because then he can say, but I chose to be the loving and progressive bishop. Do you see what I'm saying? You got to set up the straw man and the misrepresentation. Right. So when you inject basic bro kindness, which isn't even progressivism, you can now reclassify it as progressivism. Because that's what this guy is. He's a missionary of secular progressivism into Mormon culture and into the popular zeitgeist, not a missionary of God's love into the culture and the zeitgeist. He's trying to inject it into the church Meanwhile, the church is trying to inject it into people, like goodness into people.
Right. So he's framing bishops as though like the average bishop is typically this rigid, terrible, good-for-nothing reprobate, instead of like a really tired dad who's committed to his covenants, who's got a cold hot pocket at home, but he made time out of his day to meet with you and to mourn with you and help bear your burdens because he actually loves you and he's committed to his covenants.
Yeah. That's just such a gross representation to the thousands of men that are serving right now in California as bishops and in bishoprics, trying to do the best with what they have. Meanwhile, this guy's making him out to be some psycho that says 15 questions, you miss one and you fail.
To jail.
Yeah, straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Yeah. Okay, so we keep going, Hayden?
Yeah, just a few more seconds here. He talks about what some of the bishops were doing in his stake.
Okay, here we go.
By the end, I'm just like, oh, do you want to go to the temple? Is that part of your spiritual journey? Great. Here you go.
Okay, so we'll pause really quickly. Let's just make one point there, Carden. Essentially, what he just said is he was not living up to the obligation that he had as a bishop that he promised to make to ask those questions. Right? The interview is not super strict, but it's not whoever wants to go can go. That's not a Christian standard at all. And so you start to see him. I don't know if you want to call it sabotaging, but at least an apathy, right? A lack of caring of, hey, you can do whatever you can live however you want, and you can go to the temple.
No,
there was no.
I don't think I will go so far as to say sabotage, simply just because I know that stake. That stake was the one that was trying to put all the women on the stands and snub their nose in the
we'll keep playing.
local area
we'll hear what else
authorities.
was happening.
I think they got busted for giving. I think they tried to give temple recommends to a couple of active like lesbian couples or something.
We'll keep playing. Keep playing. He's going to talk about it.
Okay, cool. The here we go in 3, 2, 1.
And even at one point, the bishops in our area were getting in trouble because they were giving temple recommends to gay couples.
Yeah, there we go.
To come down and be like, guys, like you can't.
So
do
that's
this.
basically it. So you see him lose his faith, but instead of being honest and going to a stake president and saying, "Hey, I probably shouldn't be serving in this spiritual leadership role," he began to do things that were dishonest, and it just you have to ask why. Why would somebody? I don't know, Carter. What do you think? Why would somebody want to do something like that?
Oh, come on, because they've been radicalized online. It's always what happens. Why did the guy that shot Charlie Kirk think he was such a horrible person in the Antichrist? Why did the guy that shot all of the Mormons in Grand Blanc, Michigan, go in there with a gun because, Mark Driscoll and all the other online evangelical pastors had convinced him that, oh, holy smoke, these people are literally demonic and the religion is inspired by Satan. And what does the Bible tell you to do to demons and to Satan? It's...
And how did the Jews justify killing Jesus? He was demonically possessed.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So it always happens with online radicalization first. And I do remember in this video, I think he even says that his wife was radicalized online first, started believing all of the feminist algorithm that says anything religious is a patriarchy, basically, outside of, I don't know, the 3 chapels in Santa Monica that have raging lesbian contractor pastors, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That play paintball on Wednesdays before they go spitting chewing tobacco in their neighbor's yard.
Right.
And so it always happens with online radicalization first. And it looks like this was a textbook example of that. But anyway, what's the next sound bite we go to, my man?
Well, I think Tanner was going to say something.
Tanner, what were you going to say, bro?
Oh, I was just going to say, the level of the lack of courage to admit that you no longer believe as a bishop, right? To say, hey, I shouldn't be in this position because I don't believe this anymore, is probably the most dishonest thing about this entire video. He spent, 3 of 5 years as a non-believing leader in the church, just issuing temple recommends and giving advice that was contrary to the church. I mean, just be yourself. If that's what you're going to be, just be honest with yourself.
And no ward is that desperate, guys.
Right.
Right.
No ward is that desperate. It's not like you were doing somebody a favor. Okay?
No. Right.
I guarantee you that there's no stake president out there that would just pull you aside and be like, look, dude, I know you don't believe anymore and things like that, but I really need somebody in
tight
zone.
Spot.
We're in a tight spot. That means, in my opinion, I'm sorry, I'm not in his head. so I can't assume motives. But the only reason I think that you would stay inside the religion was if you wanted to subvert it with the progressivism, because now you've got a position of authority where you can exercise your opinions upon a congregation. And who wouldn't love to be, if they were already a radicalized progressive online, who wouldn't love to be the hero bishop that gave out the first temple recommend to the first Mormon gay couple in California? You would literally make your online career. You want to go straight to John DeLynn, Mormon Stories, and do the rounds on cult to consciousness, RFM, get quoted by the New York Times and the LA Times. Be that guy. It's cool to be that guy, man. And by the way, if anybody were going to look like that guy and be the handsome version thereof, like that would be the Mormon Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom loved being the guy that says, whether you like it or not, we're going to be signing those marriage proposals. I don't know if you guys remember that. That's a little bit of early 2000s California lore. But Gavin Newsom famously, when opposed on San Francisco overturning gay marriage, he said, whether you like it or not, when he was on the San Francisco board of directors. And Carmel is basically just, I believe it's southeast of San Francisco. You can launch a water balloon from San Francisco into this guy's backyard, probably. So that's hyperbole, by the way, before all of you guys start thinking you're going to debunk me. So yeah, that bothers me. That bothers me. Comes across as dishonest. Do we keep pressing play?
No. Let's go to the next one. Go to 5222. Let's just look and see. Well, where it led him to.
Okay, so here's 5222. Here's 5212. Good enough. Beau Oyler, go.
Bigger and better. And that's when I started exploring other forms of spirituality, one of which is plant medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
well, now we're cooking with peanut oil. Yeah. And now I want to know more, all right? That's all I got to say. Do we keep going, Hayden?
Yeah, keep going. He was just going to talk about his experience with taking drugs, essentially.
On anything. I had never had a drink. I had never smoked weed, like nothing. I was a very good Mormon in that way. And I just kept watching these documentaries, Michael Pollan and How to Change Your Mind and that psychedelic therapy, and all this was happening. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm like, I think this could be good for me. And
which, by the way, actually, I think there's a strong argument for all of society loosening some restrictions on a lot of Schedule I drugs such as psilocybin and whatnot, which is a political conversation for a different day. Unfortunately, there's no exact legislation on the books right now, so I'm not engaged in political lobbying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we could just talk about it figuratively, right? But okay,
so keep going. He has a spiritual experience. Keep going.
So I did my first psychedelic journey. And that was everything that it promised to be. It was like the most spiritual experience I'd ever had in my life, and a total brain reset. And my subconscious actually showed me how, as a family, we're going to navigate this.
Okay, pause.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Should we be having spiritual experiences through, was it mushrooms? Psychedelics, essentially.
Actually, so this,
Cardin's like,
wait a second.
I'm going to word this very carefully.
I'm on the edge of my seat
because I burned through this. I watched this whole thing. I first had to try different parts, and also I've watched so much of his content now, it's hard for me to remember what was in this episode and what were in episodes that he did with John DeLynn and Julie Hanks, and then multiple years ago on Mormon Stories. So I'm trying to remember if it's in this video or a previous video. But knowing what I know about what he's already previously said in this video and his story is where I start having problems and call BS. Just because previously in this video, he talked about like making it to his 30s as a bishop and then not knowing Joseph Smith had multiple ceilings in Nauvoo, that he had what some would call nowadays like a polygamist marriage or plural marriage or so on and so forth. And I just think like, okay, how can you be so naive and non-participatory in a faith that like you didn't, that's like not knowing Muhammad was like Middle Eastern or something. You know, like to not know that Joseph Smith or Mormons were polygamists. Like, I'm sorry, there's not a congregation on earth where you could go long enough to avoid that. It's absolutely absurd. Now, I get that boomers didn't like talking about controversial things around the dinner table and so on and so forth, but I remember dedicating half an hour at a time in Sister Halliday's seminary class just talking about Nauvoo era polygamy versus Brigham Young era polygamy. So like, I want him to pick a lane. Was he either just a completely cultural Mormon that never studied any doctrine, all right? Or was he so adherent that he never did a drop of drugs or booze or whatever once? Maybe it's possible to do both, but like, I don't know a Mormon kid that hasn't tried something at least once. You know, like I just, and it's a good conversation to have about psilocybin and whatnot, okay? But yeah, maybe I'm not the one to talk to about not expanding the word of wisdom, Hayden. You know, I was saying maybe I'm not, but somebody else that agrees with Hayden, somebody else say something.
Shoot, I think I'm on your page, Carter.
Oh, you are?
Look at that. Well, I mean, we're told to
go ahead,
seek
Hayden.
personal revelation, right? So President Nelson, that was one of his big things, is seek personal revelation. And we've been told how to find personal revelation. It's no big secret. It's like, hey, you meditate, you ponder, you read the scriptures, you study the scriptures. So these things that he's reading about polygamy and stuff like that. So he heard that, and in that video he talked about that forming a crack in the foundation of his belief system. And I just think about that, and it's like there are so many great materials out there that the church has put out that have been researched, that have been checked by church historians, that could really bed down a lot of those concerns. But he just decided to live with that crack.
Actually, I think I know where Hayden's going. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to steel man emotionally what you're trying to say. I am somebody who has had deep and profound spiritual experiences. Very few. Actually, I can really say once. Okay. I've had a profound and liberating spiritual experience, actually, that released me from a lot of negativity caused by anti-Mormons, shall I say. I have had that kind of deeply liberating experience that was enhanced by let's just say I have cancer, and there's certain things that cancer patients in California are allowed to consume without it being illegal. All right, so the algorithm will not get mad at me. Okay, and so as somebody that has had a deeply liberating spiritual experience while under the influence of that substance, shall we say, I would not say that it was any more liberating than the deeply spiritual experiences that I had had without it, which makes me think when somebody says that they had to go into their 30s and then be under the influence in order to experience spirituality, it makes me think they never understood or knew what spirituality was in the first place.
Look, I'm not saying you can't have experiences while under the influence of mushrooms or whatever, marijuana or whatever it is that you're smoking, Cardin. But
it wasn't smoking.
but let me ask you a question. Why, okay, from a faithful perspective, why is the church not encouraging or even allowing us to enhance our spirituality through substances?
Well,
can we talk about that for a second?
Yes, we enhance our spirituality through substances if, for example, pain during a surgery is going to prolong how long it takes us to heal. We allow certain substances to be used legally under advisement from a doctor in order to relieve pain. Okay, if somebody is food insecure, Heber J. Grant started the welfare program of the church because as a missionary, he went to the door of a very poor woman's house in England, and he handed her a Book of Mormon, and she said, okay, but will this help me find bread? Right? So we understand sometimes people can't feel the Spirit when they're excessively hungry. Sometimes people can't feel the Spirit if they're in excruciating pain. So yes, sometimes substances can be used positively to influence people's life. We just don't want it to become a coping mechanism or a crutch or a replacement, aka Satan's counterfeit of true divine personal revelation, which is between you and God.
And that's exactly what's happening. Again, I'm assuming my own worldview. He leaves the church. he starts to experiment and starts to have a positive experience. And I can't say as somebody who's never done shrooms or drinking alcohol, I can't speak on that behalf, but I'm sure it can be an enlightening experience. One of my favorite songs, at least when I was a youth, Longview by Green Day. You guys know Green Day.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That song was written when the bassist Mike Dirnt was high on probably weed, and he played this awesome thing. And Billy Joe looked over him and said, "I hope you remember that in the morning."
Yeah.
And he did, and it's one of the best songs ever. But I do not think from a faithful perspective that we can look at substances as an enhancement. I just don't know of any of God's prophets who have used that.
We'll
And
talk.
actually-
We'll talk on this one, dog. We'll
Look at that.
This is a good one. See, and this shows, by the way, though we have all disagreed a little bit in one way or another on this, all of us have temple recommends. All of us are within the Overton window of Mormon thought. And does this sound like 15 questions, ride or die, or we kick you out? Or does it sound like the priesthood body of the church is pretty reasonable?
Well, one of the things that I will say when it comes to like substance use, so if you are using substances to find like this deeply spiritual experience, I think you can have meaningful experiences under those substances, but I don't think that they will come from anywhere else outside of your own subconscious. And maybe that's the Carl Jung. He wrote a great book, Man and His Symbols.
Man and His Symbols,
Yeah, he's talking
baby. I
about
feel
dreams,
you.
right? So he's
The shadow self walking in.
right. So I
And
think
then all of a sudden you say, "No, get out of here, shadow self. I want the good part of me coming out," you know?
because the subconscious speaks in images, right? So it's like, yeah, so maybe it could be reasoned, and I'm flipping my tie on this one, but it could be reasoned that maybe he was already feeling that he was outside of the church because he was giving people temple recommends who weren't worthy of temple recommends, and maybe that his subconscious was under that influence, was just like showing him things like, you're already out of the church. You know
what, dude? I'm
And he
not
was just
trying to
like,
gas up this anti-Mormon Beau Oyler, make him look like the cool guy trying to legalize psilocybin. I want to go back to where he was lying about me. That was the freaking, that was the premise of this podcast.
Right, but what I'm saying
That's gonna get
is that
clipped,
if
guaranteed.
you want to experience light that comes from a source that is outside of your own self, that comes from personal revelation. That doesn't come from sources that can dull your senses. That's what I
Okay.
would say.
Let's get Carden back on our team and get another clip here.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. There we go. Hey,
I was one step away from ex-Mormon subreddit. Just one more minute on this, and I was going to dye my hair blue, and I was going to hate my mother.
there you go.
Timestamp 21 minutes.
Okay, here we go. Timestamp 21 minutes. Oh, I had a list on this one too. Interesting. It's about, let me guess. This is the one I wrote on here, women, which means he's probably recycling all the tropes about how we're an abusive faith to women that doesn't give them representation. I know already where this is going. Here we go. 2103 or 2052. 8 seconds ahead. Here we go.
It's a bit of you're a follower under this.
Very much so.
By the way, you're a follower. Yeah, Mormons were just a bunch of lemmings. Yeah, let me tell you. Brigham Young single-handedly settling the West. How did he do it? He did it by following. Yeah, who was leading? Nobody. Okay.
Yeah, very much so. There's always somebody above you in the system, the Mormon system.
Yeah, doesn't it suck? Even the prophet feels that way, pal. It's called God. like, until you make yourself God and put your ego above him, yes, being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints means you take a big, fat slice, a humble pie, constantly. But that's the promise of Jesus Christ in the gospel, is that if you do, he, meaning Jesus Christ, will make your burdens light because he already took them upon you. And if you learn of him, then your life will improve, and you will improve the life of others around you through service. So yes, it does suck. There is always somebody above you, and it only sucks if it's about your ego and not about service. So you learn to make it about service, not your ego. Anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Always. Now, and that's as a man, and that's as a white man.
Oh, God.
Remember that until 1978, black people couldn't even have the priesthood. They couldn't even go to the temple. they couldn't even hold significant callings in the church.
Which, by the way, is not true. This is a minor historical point, and it does nothing to excuse the racism of the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. Okay, but just as America turned very racist, in the beginning, Joseph Smith was baptizing everybody. Black, white, bond, free, the whole 9 yards. And it wasn't until, unfortunately, Mormonism, fleeing from violent persecution in the East towards the West, had to choose under Brigham Young whether or not the nation of Deseret and the state of Utah that it would become would be a free state or a slave state pre-Civil War, that all of a sudden the question of who gets the priesthood was asked in Mormon circles, and we adopted the evangelical and Protestant curse of Cain, which is an error and a spot upon our history. Okay. But to act like it was that way from the beginning all the way up until 1978 is a gross misrepresentation of history, again, meant to cause confusion with us and the racists who never wanted them to have the priesthood ever. Okay?
Well, and just as a minor point, I think that was another mark on my bingo card. I'm still confused at how we got here. Because, it seemed like he forced that one in there. Like I can see how he got some of the other tropes in there pretty easily. This one felt a little bit forced.
Well, but it didn't, and that's why he's good.
He press play. He goes through the list of oppressed in the church. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Because of the racist doctrine that is in the Mormon scriptures.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Except for it's not, and the doctrine that gets you out of the racism is actually in the Mormon scriptures.
And so I had every privilege in the world as a white middle-class male.
Ding, ding, ding. Virtue signal. 3 points.
In Mormonism, women have no priesthood, like literally zero.
Okay, we just did an episode on this with Laura Welch. All women have access to the power of the priesthood. This is a talking point from a progressive ex-Mormon subreddit that is a gross misrepresentation of Mormon doctrine, which is like wildly pro-woman. Okay, like I mean, for heaven's sakes, we, especially compared to other faiths in North America, like we literally sing hymns about Heavenly Mother. Like, I'm sorry. That's comparatively, and pride is a sin of comparison. So I'm not just, trying to make that the only argument here. Mormonism is so much more pro-woman than any other faith. This right here is wildly misleading.
Authority in the church. There's not one single woman of the 17 million members who has priesthood authority.
Yeah, and also guess what? There's not a single priesthood member that's allowed to have authority in the Relief Society, the largest women's organization in the world, that is the organization of all the women in the church. So yeah, this one bothered me. I felt it too.
I wonder if Beau was oppressive to his Relief Society president when he was bishop. You think he was? You think he just told her exactly what she had to do and gave her no choices?
Personally, I doubt it. I've never met a bishop like that. But these people are like mortified of the Relief Society. Okay, good. Yeah. I was about to say, I was like, dude, boomers are so beta seed by these girls. Like, trust me. Like, I've only met one that I think was like capable of standing up to a Relief Society president. They're all of that generation of like, well, just let the ladies do what they want. Your life will be better that way. Better, happy life. Happy wife, or like whatever,
right.
That whole attitude.
Well,
so.
it's like during the priesthood sessions, when they would start off and they'd say, brethren, you're just a bunch of knuckleheads, and you got to be thankful that some angel behind you just decided to put her in your path, and that convinced her that despite all your flaws, to marry you. You no good, dirty, rotten, pig stealing, terrible author person.
Stealing
it's like, God.
Dude, do you guys remember that? I'm sorry. Let's just take 2 minutes down memory lane. Hayden Carroll, I don't know if this was your 90s and early 2000s upbringing, but everybody else from the 70s and 80s told me the same thing. Priesthood session. You watch priesthood session and it's nothing but men stop gambling. I know there's a small percentage of you that still do. Men stop looking at porn. Men, you are the lesser gender. Women are more righteous than you. They consider the heavens before you do. There's more that are attending church than you are. You need to repent. Turn on Relief Society, read that in the end sign. Sisters, You're doing
are
nothing wrong.
Right, right.
You're just the best.
We're just so happy to have you here.
We're so happy to have you. You go, girl. Right. And dude, these guys would gas up the girls, pull down their freaking Sunday pants, and take a dump on the priesthood.
Right,
All right. As a
right.
12-year-old sitting there for my first one, I was like, holy shite. Is this what we go through? You know? So acting like we're gassing up the guys at the expense of the ladies is nope. Oh, and by the way, how many of you were told that women were the superior spiritual gender?
I was told that they have larger souls than men, right? Like that they're
Just
they're more
stupid-
spiritual on every level and more intellectual. And then that you go through, you see them graduating from college more. You see them. So yeah, there's a lot of cultural instances where it's like you're just not going to be as good as them ever.
And now what's the price of that? We've lost the moral rectitude of women.
Yeah.
Because we've literally I'm Russell M. Nelson. That's what he said. He was like, if we lose the moral rectitude of women, and I mean now I don't know a single YSA bishop that doesn't say I worry more about my women than I do my men online.
Oh, interesting.
Yikes.
Do you know how? Oh yeah, I had a very eye-opening conversation with a YSA bishop. He was stoked about our show, and he says, "Oh, you guys are some of the only ones out there that are standing up to like these horrible lies and misrepresentations." And in that conversation, I won't say who it was with, but he confided. He says, "I'm more worried about my young women online than my men. Like,
Whoa.
we've lost the moral. Dude, we see it in the stats now.
Yeah.
Young men are going to church more than young women right now."
Yeah.
And dude, the feminist algorithms are brutal because like the most alpha male masculine person in the feminist algorithms is Beau Oyler. And he's like literally NorCal hippie. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude,
Right.
that guy, dude, he ran a design company. Like this dude's not, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I would die to run a design company. I have friends that run design companies, but I mean, dude, this guy's not descending in a pit, to like scrape coal out of West Virginia's Appalachian Mountains in order to keep, the electric plant producing energy tomorrow because there's a shortage of fossil fuels, and going home so his wife, like, bathes him with that crazy soap that they have to use so they don't go blind and get coal miner's lung.
Right.
So it's like, okay, we'll keep going.
And so, as a follower, yes, you're a follower because you're always following the prophet. Whatever the current prophet is, and that trickles down, you are committed to following that. When we go to the temple, we make promises, and those are called covenants. And one of the promises is that we will give our time, talents, and everything with which the Lord has blessed you to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay, dude. First off,
He left off the last part.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Okay.
No. I mean
to God.
of the
church.
covenant.
And
Okay. What's the last part of the covenant?
For the building up of the kingdom of God on earth. Like, if this is not the truth, is that not the best thing you can do? Okay, let's just say this. From a critical perspective, from an ex-Mormon perspective, probably from an atheist perspective, or even any other religion, of course these things look weird and crazy. Like, if I was an atheist, I would be saying the same exact thing. The standards we use are different, right? And especially coming from a progressive, I don't know which way he votes, I can guess, but of course it's going to look differently, and it's easy to criticize.
Guaranteed he was white guys for Kamala. Guaranteed he was white guys for Kamala. Okay, keep going.
But isn't that just interesting that? Well, I mean, it's not even interesting. It's a natural outcome of changing your entire worldview and then criticizing what you once came from. I mean, it's not a new story. This is just as John Dehlin all over again.
Right. So the framing on this one is that the church is a big, greedy corporation that is trying to make as much money as possible. And so he framed it that way by leaving off the kingdom of God and establishing Zion part. He's just reinforcing that narrative and that framing that this is just for a big organization. So you just have to donate everything that you have to this organization instead of for the purpose of building up the kingdom of God, something that he was really grateful for when he was a kid and even on his mission, and something that he even saw was a great benefit to the people that he served while he was on his mission. He's now saying, well, let me just leave that part off because that's inconvenient to my narrative here.
Dude, this guy, I'm telling you, Beau Oyler is a genius anti-Mormon because you guys all missed it too. None of us have noticed what he said about the prophet. Hold on. One more time.
Talents and everything with which the Lord has blessed you to the
Okay, so here we go. We're going to go back a second.
as a follower, yes, you're a follower because you're always following the prophet. Whatever the current prophet is and that trickles down, you are committed to following that.
No. That's a misrepresentation. We do not all get baptized in the Church of Russell M. Nelson, the Church of Dallin H. Oaks, the Church of Thomas S. Monson of Latter-day Saints, and then follow him. We get baptized in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and then commit to follow him. And in his name, take whose name upon him? His name, Jesus Christ. Yes, we do believe we had a prophet. We venerate Joseph Smith and we venerate Russell M. Nelson and we venerate the Apostle Paul and Stephen, or the prophet like Moses and Abraham and all that. We do believe there's prophets, okay, that are the mouthpiece of God on earth. But they are secondary and tertiary behind, obviously, Jesus Christ, the Godhead, so on and so forth. We follow Jesus Christ. We don't follow Russell M. Nelson. And there is a song, yes, follow the prophet, that we teach children in order to encourage adherence to generally good guidelines that are taught in general conference and in these sermons that they give and so on and so forth. But to say that your existence as a whole in this church is to generate mindless, soulless followers of the prophet is such a gross misrepresentation. And you know who is proof of that, Hayden Carroll?
Who?
Beau Oyler. When the church said,
what a reveal.
When the church said, go support Proposition 8, man, never was there a bigger divide in the church in California and a discussion on how we actually apply our relationship with government ethically, with church guidelines, defining marriage. Oh, what's another proof? Do you guys remember that little letter that got sent out by the first presidency about the vax?
Oh, yeah.
Was our church just in lockstep because Russell M. Nelson went out and got the vax? Did your ward all of a sudden just bend over backwards to put on masks when those mask mandates came down? What was your ward like during COVID? Was it perfectly unified, Hayden Carroll?
Not at all.
Are there still families that won't speak to each other because these people were calling the cops on their neighbors for not wearing masks over here, and then these ones were getting angry at them for not watching the Joe Rogan podcast on, ivermectin? Like, is there still not a massive divide in the church over this exact issue that happened less than 3 years ago?
Can I make a comment on
Yes.
what he said about following the prophet? For any non-Latter-day Saint, we'll say evangelical or especially Catholic who's watching this, realize the same argument would be used against you, right? The ex-evangelical, now atheist, the ex-Catholic, now atheist. They're going to say that you're in a cult because, especially in the Catholic Church, you're being controlled. You got living leadership. But even evangelical Christianity, that you have this book that your pastor and your parents and your friends all believe are literally God's word, and you are essentially being controlled by that book. Like, there are, think of how many billions of people fall into this category that can be used against them. But I just want people who are watching to realize that Cardin's right? In the faithful worldview, we're trying to follow God. And we believe that God has called prophets the same way that the Catholic Church and the same way that evangelicals, right? The difference between us and evangelicals is just that they're not living, but it's the same thing. You're adhering to these people, these humans who claim to speak for God. So realize this is not a unique critique to Latter-day Saints. This is a critique to anyone in any organized religion at all.
Oh, by the way, I've completely neglected super chats this whole entire time, and we're 1 hour in. So in the last 12 minutes here, before we hit overtime, I'm just going to address some super chats real fast. I am so sorry. Young Men's Camp podcast says it's about time you all had the Salty Saints on. They are authentic. We need more of that. Yes.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah,
Right there.
Hayden Holmes and Tanner right here. Yeah. Don't forget Hayden Carroll. And what's your podcast? Again, it's called Let's Talk with Hayden Carroll, right? What is it?
Let's Talk with Hayden Carroll.
Dude, people say that you're our apologist in chief right now, bro.
Nah.
Dude, I don't know. I'm going to talk to Jacob Hansen about that, and I'm just going to see if you guys don't have a jiu-jitsu match to settle this.
I am meeting, I told you, I'm meeting with Trent Horn on Tuesday. He reached out to me and had some concerns about a video I made about him, so we're going to chat on Tuesday.
Oh, nice. Dude, if Trent Horn's coming for you, bro, you better run for the hills, dog.
Yeah.
He might
he didn't like
pull
being
out
connected with Mark Driscoll, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
All right.
The wild things. You get strange bedfellows when you really go in hard on the anti-Mormons. Maybe start making you feel real uncomfortable, right? Although I'll tell you this much right now, I think Trent Horn is a very I think he's a good faith actor. So I actually look forward to you speaking with him. Okay, Dragon Slayer says the Temple Rocks have been sent, Cardin. Hope you all got it and all the goodies inside. Now that you got Temple Rocks, you can come out to Pennsylvania soon. Yes, awesome. Thank you, Dragon Slayer. Let's go. Hayden says Tip J the real. Hayden has been killing it with the Let's Talk. I think he means your Let's Talk series. Yes. Corey Richmond says love the hat, Cardin. Even though this new Mormon moment isn't great, I have had some great convos about the gospel. That's true. The worst news is no news, my man, and bad news is good news when it comes to the gospel. We've had nothing but the worst press of my adult lifetime, I'd say, in the past 6 months. Yet, what else have we enjoyed in the past 6 months?
Record growth.
Yeah, record growth, highest baptismal rate in a long time, and that cannot be uncorrelated. The ASK podcast says, I left the church when I was a teen and came back at 18, did all sorts of things, but funny enough, never tried drugs. CS letter messed me up, and thanks, you all helped me figure that out. Big thanks. Thank you very much, ASK podcast. And I do have to say, the ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon, some of the worst abuses of people that leave the church that even Sean McCraney stopped being anti-Mormon because of was how, like, it's this weird initiation ritual that you got to try like every drug imaginable once you leave the church. You know what I'm saying? And it's like these people predate upon folks that leave the church in their 20s and 30s and try and get them to do the most juvenile things. It's like, why not just look at your upbringing saying, oh, it preserved me from getting hooked on drugs and alcohol, and I consider that an advantage. I've left the church, but I'm going to take that good and continue in my life with me. Why can't you do that? Why is that not an option on ex-Mormon subreddit? And by the way, if somebody says, well, you can because, no, put that in a poll on, like, just say on ex-Mormon subreddit, actually, I want to leave the church without trying drugs and alcohol and coffee. Then you are still under the oppressive patriarchy, and until you prove it, you can't be with us.
Sounds like we need to get the DARE officers involved, right?
Yeah, for real.
Dust off them.
Yeah. So through the, I don't know what else it says, but it says, this is the classic Antichrist tactic. Shout out to Jeffrey Borders in his book, The Antichrist Playbook. Yes. And last one says, what I wouldn't give to be able to take my son to one of those chastisement sessions again. Yes. He's talking about priesthood. Boy, dude, do you miss that?
You need one like once every 5 years. You need a good one, you know? But like every time was a little much, you know?
Yeah, every time.
It was a little rough on
little
the
heavy,
on
yeah.
the ego there. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. All right, Hayden, which one it's so interesting, Hayden, to see the timestamps you choose versus the timestamps I chose.
Do we want to go to because Hayden brought up like the church is like hoarding money, like everything's for like giving to the church. You want to go to that
let's
clip?
do it. Yeah, which one is that, my man? Which one is that?
4430.
Okay, so here we go on to 4430. Did I go out of it? Oh, dang it. I went out of it. It's straight up amateur hour here, bro. So I'm going to have to pull up the link again. Visit site 4430. Here we
And so we could get
go. Boom.
and they donate to humanitarian causes.
Oh, wait, here we go. Sorry, I got to go back.
Have an entire financial arm to manage
Oh, I'm going to go back even a little bit more.
it. The answer is go everywhere else first. And then if
Actually, we'll go
your
back more.
priority as bishop. And that created a huge dissonance inside of me when I saw that the church's priority is to protect the church versus the individual.
No, what?
That's talking about church abuse hotline. That's clip 8. Are you on 4430?
Okay, yeah, no, we're going to 40. Yeah, we'll go back to that. 4430. Here we go.
With the money stuff, that became really tough for me too, because I would have widows and single moms and people who had lost their job come and ask for help. And it was always push off. Yeah, you can go get some food and we'll pay for that from the bishop's storehouse. But you need to reach out to your family. You need to ask them for money. We're not paying your rent.
No, that is absolute garbage.
Totally false. Yeah.
Okay, you say why you think it's totally false first, Hayden Carroll.
I was just talking about this with my dad. My dad served as a bishop, even in the YSA, and he said every time he went to a leadership conference when a general authority was in town, you know what they always said about welfare? They said, be as generous as possible. Now, you don't just pay someone's rent who's literally doing nothing for themselves, right? Now, if they can't help themselves, right, because of a mental illness or because of circumstances, we help them. Now, if they are fully capable and they're wasting their money away and they're expecting the church to make the difference up for them, obviously we don't enable people to live that kind of a life. But when somebody is actually putting in effort and is trying, the church will pay their rent. I know a family friend of mine who she has a disability, a mental disability essentially, and she can't hold a job and she really struggles. And the church has been paying her rent for like 30 years. And they will continue to do that and give her food because she can't help herself in the way that maybe somebody else might be able to. So the fact that he's saying, the church is saying, try to resist, that goes against all of my experiences and my loved ones who have experienced that as well.
Well, and it also goes against not just the culture of our church, but Joseph Smith himself said, I just looked this up and this is on the fly. Hopefully I don't screw this up. But what's the quote he said? It is better to pay, he said, here it says, okay, it is better to pay. Joseph Smith has a quote where he basically says, it's better to pay 7 like dishonest charlatans than deny the 8th, who is an honest solicitation. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm butchering the quote, and here like AI is going to have to go searching for it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it says, the sentiment is documented in various sources related to his teachings on charity and dealing with others. Like Ben Kaiser, friend of the program from Grand Blanc, Michigan, who literally covered half of the shootings with us, said he's been in meetings himself when the area authorities have come down and said, brothers, these are sacred funds. You need to spend more of them on welfare.
Show me any source that says be stingy with the church's money. Show me one. Show me one source.
I could believe that there's bishops or elders, quorum advisors out there.
No, I'm talking about general authorities.
Oh, yes,
Salt Lake.
yes.
Right,
I could believe that some errant individual volunteer clergy that's, worn one too many Matt Walsh flannels in his life might actually, be out there saying, you really should pick yourself up by your bootstraps. And I do know that there's protocols in the church. Like, for example, you notice he did this very craftily. All right, dude, I love this. This guy's a fox, dude. Like, listen to this.
Even though these people had been full tithe payers their whole life.
Oh, sorry. He said that the church always tells them to push off. We're not, first go to your family first. There is a protocol. In order to make sure that it's not just a rubber stamp check to a member, we know how difficult it is to ask for help, especially as a man. Most men, before they ask the church for help, have exhausted all of their arm's length transactions. The church knows that, unfortunately, the majority of abuse claims are usually based on some kind of truth, so they must be taken extremely seriously. We do not dismiss them. We also know that most good men that are attending regularly are doing everything they can to provide for their families, so an honest solicitation needs to be taken very seriously. That is the culture of our church. But Beau Oyler here literally just said, I was told to say postpone. Oh, sure, maybe we'll give you some food over there. No, it's not that way. We do send the Relief Society president over before we just loose $10,000 worth of rent on you to try and make sure that, okay, cool. Well, you're paying $800 a month on your electricity bill. Okay. Do you not have a thermostat sent to like 77? We could get that down to 500, or like, okay, cool. Well, if you're going to be on church welfare and paying your rent, that's fine. But you're also driving an $80,000 Maserati. Like maybe we could make some of your economic troubles go away if you lived within your means and went to one of our great self-reliance courses.
Right.
Okay.
The slogan goes, we support life, not lifestyle. And that's kind of like the go-to mantra for most bishops is like, yeah, we're not going to support we're not going to pay for Netflix, if you have like a bunch of unnecessary subscriptions or you have like big fancy cars or you have big, it's like, yeah, you're going to have to give a little bit of that up because these are sacred funds. People are sacrificing for you. So
I'm not going to take the money that I can give to the widower whose rent I'm paying or the widow whose rent I'm paying just to make sure that you don't fall behind on your Maserati.
Right.
Okay, like I'm a judge in Zion, and I judge that that's excessive. Okay, but we're never gonna deny somebody's frickin' rent when they have no other options. Are you kidding me? And by the way, here's another thing. That's the only fund that doesn't have a bottom.
Oh,
When-
interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Oh yeah, the dark secret of the church right there that I actually probably should not have said out loud. You know what I'm saying? Is that everything's got a cap on it in Mormonism.
Right.
The PR fund, the amount of money you can spend on the elders quorum, the youth budget is the biggest. They got thousands of dollars in there. Why? Because youth camp is expensive. We value youth activity, spirituality, trying to help everybody raise their children in the church. But everything's got this predetermined budget or whatnot. There is one budget that every bishop has access to that when you run out, you just make a phone call and they put more in. And then when that runs out, you just make another phone call. And let me tell you, they will keep putting money into that thing until you're no longer bishop before they actually stop. And that is the freaking welfare budget, dude. Like, that is the most abusable budget that a bishop has access to. And
So why do you think Beau's not giving all this detail that we're giving?
Oh, well, because he doesn't want to do it, because it's not about truth. He's an anti-Mormon. But this is why he's so good.
Like, it's inconvenient to his narrative.
It's
right?
inconvenient to his narrative. Exactly. He's the cool guy, man. He's the cool guy that's liberating the overly rigid and cruel faith by just fighting for just the gays that want to live in peace and just the women that want to, feel a little more welcome in a faith that hates women. I'm just fighting for the underdog. Everybody wants to be the champion of the underdog.
Well, apparently he was turning away widows, right? He was saying, like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I will give temple recommends to people that are unworthy, but I'm not going to pay your rent. I don't care if you're starving. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Right?
that's weird.
Okay, so here he
Push
goes.
off. Yeah, you can go
Garden.
get some food.
Yeah.
I gotta run. I got a hot date.
Oh, dude, you got a hot date. That's cool. No, everybody,
Yeah.
everybody, give a W in the chat, please. For one, Hayden Carroll. Thanks for hanging out with us, Hayden. I told
Yeah,
you
no, this is
6:30 hard out. So no hard feelings, dog.
Okay.
Who's the hot date with? Do you want to say before you go?
Oh, my lovely fiance. We're
Hey.
gonna go to.
Holla, holla.
Look at that.
Have you gone public with that yet, bro?
He just did.
Yeah, it's basically public.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. Good luck, bro. Thank you very much for hanging out with
All right.
us.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Remember who you are.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys have
Kids
that?
these days,
Make
am I
good
right?
choices. Yep,
Yeah,
that's the-
dude.
always the
Holy
phrase.
smoke. Okay, one last one here. Dude, I have a whole entire look at this, dude. I literally was going to title this episode like the ex-Mormon canon. Like all
It's a
of ex-Mormon
masterclass.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a masterclass.
101.
Okay, so what do we got? We got 1107 masturbation. Where
This is a fun one.
yeah, dude, that one's I don't know what the algorithm would say about that one, but he says a bunch of very cruel stuff about masturbation misrepresenting the church on that. It's like, dude, that's a parking ticket, bro. Like, ain't nobody getting,
For real.
Right.
we ain't sending you to spirit prison for that, bro.
Well,
Yeah, they
it was so much like self-shame. Again, like just be honest and like reach out earnestly, and your leaders can help you understand that you shouldn't be imprisoning yourself spiritually over such little things, right?
yeah.
Like he just, I don't know, locked himself in a box a lot.
Or he started rewriting history. Like,
Yeah.
Or he didn't actually feel that way until someone told him that the narrative is that you were shamed and you felt a lot of guilt. And then he was like, well, it's pretty easy to say that I felt shame and guilt, so why not?
Dude, you're a savage, man. I looked up for the last half of that joke. The first half I thought was on. Okay, well, what do you got here? 22-25, idolizing the prophet. 30, radicalized online. You said something very interesting. Dude, it's... I noticed...
Well, this is a pattern that we've seen. So we actually create a lot of content for men in the church. And one of the... We actually have a Discord for a lot of LDS dads. It's interfaith, though. So one of the patterns that we've seen repeatedly is that the wife will get stuck in feminist algorithms and just these really progressive algorithms. and it will start driving a wedge into the marriage. And so she'll start policing how the husband is practicing the religion that he's been practicing his whole life. And then she'll say, well, I don't want to do it that way. Let's not do it this way. And so for a lot of men, they don't know how to handle that. They don't know what to do. And so this is exactly what we're seeing happen with Brother Oyler here, is that his wife, so let me get my clue card out, right? This is a pretty simple case here. So it was his wife got stuck in a feminist algorithm, and then she took the family with her. So it's case closed after that, right? Because like after his wife got stuck in those algorithms, you saw that she had an influence on him. He started saying like, yeah, I'm going to start playing Footloose. Don't call him Kenny Loggins, but he's starting to play Footloose with all the rules of the church as a bishop. And then from there, we see that he goes pretty heavy into the progressive agenda. And then eventually he just follows her.
Man,
and so I call it the allegory of the ant trap, because we get sugar ants out in Texas.
Okay.
And so one of the ways that you kill a sugar ant colony that's really cheap is you get a cotton ball and you soak it in borax and sugar, right?
Oh, interesting.
And so then you put it down in the tracks of these sugar ants. So the sugar ants will go over to that cotton ball. They'll start taking strands of it off, and then they'll take it back to the queen. And the queen, if she ingests that, it kills her because she can't handle the borax, and then it kills the entire colony. And so that's what we're seeing with modern feminist algorithms today. It's just that sugar and borax mixture, and it's taking it to the queens of the households, and it's killing her spiritually, which kills the rest of the household.
Which is interesting because it is also sweet while it's poisoning them.
It feels sweet. Tastes sweet.
It feels and tastes sweet when you're doing that. Man, you didn't even need a Scooby snack to solve that mystery. That was impressive.
Case closed, gang.
That was good. But I think that's exactly what's happening, though. I think it's that algorithm. People get caught in their echo chambers, and all you need is one or two videos to pop into your feed, and you watch them a little longer than you should have, and all of a sudden that algorithm will feed you more and more and more of that until it feels like the whole world is shouting at you that you're in the wrong place. Right? And that's what happened with his wife.
Combined with not doing your research. So it's that combined with taking these people at face value and saying their worldview and their claims are 100% true. I don't need to do any homework on this. I don't need to go to any church sources on this. I'm done, right? And I don't need to go to any faithful comment or commentary on this take or this reel that I just saw or something like that. So...
Well, I also want to pull up a really interesting screenshot that I have of r/Latter-day Saint Reddit here. Not a big Redditor, but I subscribe to some of the relevant threads. Okay, and it looks like r/ex-mormon is just an absolutely toxic cesspool. So they tried to create r/Mormon, but the ex-Mormon anti-Mormons just use all the pro-Mormon hashtags and then take it over. Kind of like, I don't know, pouring castor oil in a well in the wild, wild west to try and poison the family using the well.
Right.
That's just what they do. And then so they tried to, whoever these moderators are, tried to create a pro-LDS space because the supposedly pro-LDS r/Mormon got taken over. So now they made r/Latter-day Saints. And this was an interesting, sometimes I'm dubious of these asks because I don't know if it's just some progmo trying to, I'm just asking questions when in reality I'm just rehearsing.
Are you pushing an agenda here?
Yeah, you're pushing an agenda. But this one was interesting. It said r/Latter-day Saints. And it's relevant to this conversation, so I want to hear what you guys think. She said, I don't know if this is the right place to go with this, but I've noticed a worrying trend among the youth in my ward. A lot of people in our ward's youth program are being taken in by harmful type of extremism pushed by influencers like Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate. Now, first off, this is why I first started rolling my eyes. I'm like, oh, shut up. Just kids laughing at memes is not, entering into extremism, all right?
So maybe she's not getting the joke.
Yeah, so either maybe you're not getting the joke or maybe there is some people that are taken into extremism. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and keep reading, right? It's gotten to the point where white supremacist and misogynistic talking points are being brought up daily at youth activities or in seminary. Has anyone else seen this in their wards? If so, how is it and how has it been handled? It's been a major struggle for at least the past couple of months. Well, let me tell you, Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes, this is their MO. I do believe that their ultimate message is very hyper toxic. And if you don't think so, look up what Nick Fuentes has said about Mormons.
Right.
When directly asked if in the America First movement there's room for Mormons, he's literally said no. It's a corrupt organization that apostatizes Catholics. Okay, so he's like one step away from witch trial them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So yes, I think Nick Fuentes, especially in regards to Mormonism, is toxic, but he is gaining so much steam as a natural consequence of the progressive agenda's insanity. When young men who know that Tyler on their basketball team, that's Tyler and has always been Tyler,
Right.
is now Tiffany. 24 hours later, and my principal's calling me into the office because I didn't call Tyler Tiffany.
Right.
That's knucking futs.
Well, and
this is all insane. So when Nick Fuentes comes out and says, you know, they're trying to force words in your mouth and they're violating freedom of speech, excuse me, we all say, hell yeah, you're right. And then when Andrew Tate comes out and says, yeah, men always get the shaft in bad divorces and they always lose custody of their kids. Do you want to know the billboards that you always see in Utah? You will see men's rights advocacy, men's visitation rights lawyers that specialize in just getting dads able to see their kids again because toxic feminist algorithms have made it so that women think that the best divorce you can ever have is one where a man doesn't get to see his kids again, which is the natural consequence of modern feminism. I'm sorry, that's not a misrepresentation. That's the way feminism has become. Third wave, fourth wave feminism is horrible. It's man-hating 101, okay? So when the Andrew Tates come out and say, oh, mates, you're getting screwed by feminism, then you know what? We all say, yeah. Now, when they shift into that's why you should hate the Jews or that's why you should be a misogynist, you know, that's
the pendulum swinging too far, right? So it's like, this is like kind of like a knee-jerk reaction, you know? It's like, well, hold on, because they see the pendulum swinging that way. Now, I will say that youth, more times than not, are contrarian in nature, right? I remember being a youth, like I would say things just to kind of get a rise out of the leaders all the time, you know? So I would imagine it's probably more that than...
Did you advocate for vengeance upon the USS Liberty just to piss off your elders quorum advisor when you were a missionary or what? No, that was seriously Groiper, bro.
Yeah. But I mean, so it could be a little bit of that. I don't know. It's hard to tell just from a post. You know,
it's hard to tell from a post. But at the end of the day, if you're really worried about, as this title of this post says, extremism in the youth, let me tell you, where do you point a fire extinguisher? What does it say on every fire extinguisher? Point at the base of the
flame.
Flame.
Right?
Yeah, point at the base of the flame, and the base of the Nick Fuentes and the Andrew Tate flame is the insanity of progressivism and feminism in the modern age and how it's wildly destructive to young men.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's even liberals that are coming around to say this, like Scott Calloway, like Jonathan Haidt. Okay? The abysmal failure of our elders quorums, the abysmal failure of our men's youth programs, our sacrificing the young priesthood of our church at the altar of feminism. Yeah, when you don't have Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints youth leaders of the past 20 years, when you don't have an Instagram account for young men or a Facebook account for young men until February of 2024, and then once you get it, your Instagram and your Facebook account looks unintelligibly not different from young women worldwide and looks like the most feminine thing out there. Are you surprised if they went online for the first time in 2019, that from 2019 to 2024, they listen to Nick Fuentes every day because you didn't show up to the social media party? Are you surprised? Is that a failure of youth or is it a failure of leadership?
That's wild.
Or
I
a
didn't even
parental
know that.
failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, also, what are the parents supposed to do to a certain extent? Like, I even, like...
I would say keep the kids off of social media as long as you can.
Okay, but you're a single mom. You got 3 kids. Your husband's in the military. He was shot in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
you're
you
doing
shouldn't-
your best. You're doing best to break. Like my mom was a single mom, and when she dropped me off at the church, she was begging God that I would find good masculine role models, and I did. God bless you, Don L. May he rest in peace, my scoutmaster. That kept me from being a statistic. Because as well as she tried those first formative years, she cannot be looking over my shoulder every single time in my formative years. We need systems for that.
Right.
And the Mormon system failed youth because for the first 20 years of social media, we didn't show up to that party. So are you surprised when the Andrew Tates who show up to the party, well-dressed even, get more attention from the young men?
It's going to be way harder to pull them away from the Andrew Tates than it would have been just to show up. Like it's going to be really hard because there is a kernel of truth in what the Andrew Tates are saying, right?
That's why John DeLynn got so big.
Yeah.
There was a Mormon Stories podcast on YouTube. Show me the comparative podcast on YouTube by the church. Long form discussions. There was none. There was some broadcast first stuff on BYU TV that's great for the boomers that live in Utah. But where were the young men supposed to go? When I was 14 years old, at the drop of a hat, I could name 3 to 5 things that made me proud to be a Mormon, that I did and participated in as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that I could brag to my friends about. A 14-year-old in 2021 did not have that.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
And we can't name what 5 things at the drop of the hat would a 14-year-old brag about in 2020 about being a member of the church.
It's tough. Yeah, it'd be really tough, especially with the algorithms as they are now. Like they're not getting the support they need digitally.
Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, that made me pissed. Okay, we got him.
You don't say, yeah.
Yeah, and now we got Beau Oyler 34 minutes in saying we're anti-trans, which I think is absolutely cruel, telling the most vulnerable people in America that their friends and their family they've spent their entire lives with absolutely hate them is one of the most toxic lies that you can say about Mormonism. Absolute shame on you, Beau Oyler. That is one of the worst abuses of your charisma and social clout and power on this whole entire thing, besides just misrepresenting yourself as a Mormon. I would say shame on you, but he doesn't feel shame. He thinks he's doing the world a favor. So we've got 39 minutes in. Algorithms won't let us talk about that. 4308. Can't remember what that was. 53 going anti-Mormon. Don't remember what that was. 5935. Shame, fear and shame runs the machine. He admits at 10130 that John DeLynn runs the #1 Mormon podcast. So again, not only is he misrepresenting himself
Bingo.
as a Mormon, but he's misrepresenting the #1 online anti-Mormon as a Mormon. So, okay, next he's going to say Nemo the Mormon's Mormon as well. And then 104 is the same woke anti-Mormon-ex-Mormon trope that Mormons preach. We have cornered the market on spirituality. Which one of those do you want to do?
Oh man, I love the cornered the market one. Like we've claimed that, and the fact that he had to go to Nepal and burn his clothes on a mountain or something.
He had to offer a sacrifice.
A sacrifice.
With the double-headed dragon. Yeah.
Okay, so we want to try that one. Let's try that one, and then that will be our last one. We'll go to Super Chats, and then hopefully talk about something positive on the way out. Here we go.
Really sick that night. Like double-headed dragon, like up all night, broke my toe, running to the bathroom, kicked the wall. Like it was bad, and all I needed was sleep. And instead, I got food poisoning. And the next day, I'm hiking on the trail, and this person picks me up off the side of the trail, and they're like, "You can't do this. Like you are not in a good place." And they got me onto a helicopter, which took me down to Lukla, which is another little town.
Hey, take off your I can hear you, Ben. Mute yourself because I can hear us on your laptop, Broseph. Oh boy, do you hear me, Ben? I'm listening to myself. I might have to mute. Our boy Ben Kaiser just came in, and I don't think that he can. I don't think that he knows that he's broadcasting. I don't think that he knows that
he's got
he's
a good echo to him.
Yeah, there he is. So, okay. Anyway, here we go back with Beau Oyler. Oh, come on. Where is this? Here we go.
in the Himalayas, and a family there took me in. And this is a family with nothing, literally concrete floors, concrete walls, tin roof at 11 degrees outside. They had nothing. And they took me in and they fed me and they put me in a room that had a hot shower. And they literally like gave me what I had no ability to have. And they weren't Mormon. They weren't Christian. They were Buddhist. And they gave me everything that they had. And it was such a demonstration of pure love. It had nothing to do with religion. It had nothing to do with money.
Yeah, we literally, it's part of our faith that the light of Christ is given unto every man. Not just Mormons are capable of kindness. Like, that's the Good Samaritan, you know, like that's literally this is the codified ethics of humanity. But there's this ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon trope that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, yes, we do believe we are the only true and living church on the earth, because God giving us a prophet, being a mouthpiece for him, means that we are the living part. Emphasis on the living, okay? But it's true and living. Yes, maybe outside of the Pope, there's not another faith that makes, at least as large, that makes as bold a claim that they have a representative of God on earth. Okay? But that does not mean that we say we're the only people capable of righteousness. Nowhere on earth will you ever find a quote from Joseph Smith to John the Baptist to Dallin H. Oaks. Never did we say we are the only people capable of kindness, the only people capable of righteousness. That is a purposeful misrepresentation that is absolutely gross and strikes at the core of Christianity. In fact, Joseph Smith often said the very opposite, Beau Oyler, and you know this. Tanner, are you familiar with the quote? Joseph Smith said, "Never underestimate the kindness and the goodness of..."
I don't actually know the end of that quote.
Of your neighbors.
Of your neighbors.
Even when speaking about Missourians and Iowans and people that had persecuted the saints. When the saints were salty, no pun intended.
There it is.
You know, when the saints were salty towards members of the church that had persecuted him, in sermons he would even say, never underestimate the kindness and the goodness of your neighbors. Even when their neighbors were the ones persecuting them.
Yeah, well, I think he was really telling on himself, honestly, in that whole thing, because that's what his perspective is on that, is that Mormons can't be, you know, like other people outside of Mormonism can't be nice. And it just makes me laugh, because I think like it's just really funny to me, this poor family in this little hut has to house another white American who comes from the wealthiest country in the world and wanted to cosplay as one of them for the weekend and ended up almost killing himself, you know? Like, it's like, geez, can you have your spiritual experiences in your own country? You know, like, do we really have to give you our
I thought you
food
had
and
mushrooms
water?
for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Like,
Can
what's
you
going on?
astral project next time, maybe? I don't know.
Like you come over to our sacred mountain, you take a dump all over it, and then we have to feed you.
Well, the funny part is he does say previously in the interview, if you haven't watched it, he does say he was with John DeLynn and John DeLynn sitting under the stars with his friends. They're talking about what's next for you? And he says, I'm on this spiritual journey. He says, oh, you should go to Nepal and go climb Mount Everest, which, by the way, is total hashtag first world problems, right? Like, I'm in a deep spiritual journey right now. What should you do? A $20,000 vacation. Yeah, that might help me get my head straight.
I'm going to be all Julia Roberts and do Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. So we've got rich kid Beau Oyler out here going to Nepal, and then apparently he goes up to the guides and says, I just feel really called to be by myself. And so you've got these Nepalese guides like literally thinking, what's the liability of this crap? We got the rich guy. He's got to give us a tip. So we got to let him do his weird little, show a photo of my friends and brag how just alone and spiritual I was. But also he doesn't have enough hemoglobin in his system because he's from frickin' California. We don't know if he's going to survive.
Right.
And then guess what? He doesn't go 24 hours up in the mountains at base camp of Everest before he has to get literally dragged, whether it's food poisoning or whether it's the thin air. We don't care. He ends up having to get dragged to some local's house. Now, they were good people that refused his money. Let me tell you, the cynical guy in me says they might have refused his money, but they weren't refusing the guide's money, saying, thanks for bailing out another rich white guy. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah, well, like how many Sherpas does it take to carry this guy's ego up the mountain? You know, like
Crying
it's
out
a
loud.
lot.
So anyway, who knows? Maybe they literally did just do it out of the goodness of their hearts because they actually are just kind and dedicated, amazing Buddhists. Good for them. We've all served missions and met those people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
Well, the interesting thing here is that in order to have a spiritual experience, he had to do something masculine, right? So he ends up doing something masculine, and then all of a sudden he has a spiritual experience. It's like, wait a second, I think you're realizing where your T levels are at that point, right?
Yeah.
For real. And so, like, Bo, we have mountains at home. You
Yeah,
know, like you can
yeah.
climb them all over the U.S. You should try that, you know?
Dude, but it's like the rich chicks on Instagram, like the new stay-at-home mom trend that's like, follow me as I show you how I can afford trips to Disneyland. And then they just turn the camera over and it says, my husband. And they're just like literally just openly bragging that their husband is wealthy enough to, like, I have a policy on this channel. Do not broadcast anything that seems opulent.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing to be stoked if you got a new car that's new to you and you got a good deal. It's sweet if you
So you're saying I shouldn't pose in front of my Honda Odyssey out there, you know?
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes I'll be stoked. I'll get Brittany a new pair of shoes for her birthday or Christmas or something like that, or else I might be able to get a cool add-on to my motorcycle or whatever, you know. And sweet, it might be do something. I wouldn't necessarily call that opulence, you know, but like we can all argue about what the line is. You know what I'm saying?
My favorite is
But
when they say, I'm so blessed because I got
Yeah.
this thing. You know,
I
like-
think
Or
at
I
the end of the day,
manifested it,
like
yeah.
if you can afford to just go within 2 weeks to base camp Everest, I think we all agree that just like kind of you've
Well-
just now reached the threshold of hashtag first world problems. And at what point is it not bragging?
Do you know the funny part
100%.
about this is he mentioned earlier on how the church actually paid him to like redo their website and stuff. So his spiritual experience could very well have been funded by the church. Isn't that a little ironic?
Brought to you by the
Yeah.
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
Dude, that's funny. Dude, that is funny. Okay, so here he keeps going.
Like they wouldn't even take my money, like nothing. They're like, we're just here to help you. And then they sent me off the next day on a helicopter back to Kathmandu. And I think those types of experiences when I was there in the Himalayas, and there was another one where we did a Buddhist ritual where it was like a rebirth, where you had to burn something that was special to you to then let it go. And the idea of impermanence and letting go. And it was these types of like forms of spirituality that I was exposing myself to.
And by the way, I hate to say this. If you didn't watch the whole episode, maybe you don't get this, but he criticizes the wealth of the church that is based upon tithing. And that's the exact example we give in gospel doctrine. That the ancient Jews used to burn the firstborn of their flocks. The nomadic and shepherd culture would literally lay their firstborn perfect lamb on the altar simply just to burn it and let it go, to show the principle of sacrifice. It's a predatory scheme when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints teaches tithing, where you literally just lay 1/10 of your increase. By the way, whether it's gross or net is up. That's between you and the Lord. It's not up to the church. We're not forensic scientists here. Pray about it if you got a question. We're not forensic accountants here. Pray about it. But at the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's about the sacrifice. So you'll notice that it's okay when it's a Buddhist ritual.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay when it's a Buddhist ritual. But if it's a homegrown one, then all of a sudden it's predatory, patriarchy, and abusive.
But I also don't remember reading anywhere in the Old Testament where, like, that if you burned, like, you'd get this rebirth from burning a pair of, like, soiled Louis Vuitton snow pants or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Judas.
Okay, we got Ben Kaiser in here. He jumped on after our boy Hayden Carroll went out to go on a date with his fiance. Ben, have we gone wrong, my man? We invoked your name earlier in the podcast. Did we do this incorrectly? Did we do this incorrectly?
No, not at all.
Okay, wow, you look festive. Oh, your house is very pagan. I like it. I like it a lot. So, your thoughts on the tithing and the law of sacrifice, my friend?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, you guys have knocked it out of the park. I was so jacked when I saw this because this guy's been on my radar, and it's just as Christian as I could say, it's just been driving me up a wall, man. I mean, what a spit and slap in the face on, and one side of your mouth say all the great, awesome things that Mormonism has done for you, and it raised you and it brought you up. Your parents were part of it, your friends and family, and yet in the next, not even go on about all the heart. It's just lies, and it's just unbelievable. And I don't know why, because I've actually seen these people in my life before, and I know some of them, but yet to see it gain so much traction is so ridiculous. And think of all the people that you know, whether they're members of the church or not. But let's focus on the members for a second. All those diligent people that day in and day out, they work the same jobs that you and I do. They do the same thing, but the difference is they go out and they try to be good members of their community. They hit the ground each morning on their knees and pray. They read their scriptures. They try to help others. Doesn't matter if they're members of the church or not. We're engaged in community projects all the time. We have interfaith activities that we do with members of the community in Saginaw. We're constantly trying to better ourselves and others around us. And you have this rich kid, Beau, which I thought was a hilarious nickname, and I'm going to start using it online. And one thing that I don't openly talk to people who aren't members of my church about is my tithing. Now, I have a deep and abiding witness and testimony of tithing. I can stand on the street corner if I need to about it. I have seen God more manifest in my life through that principle than almost any other principle. And I will tell you, and I'm so glad you brought up that story because it floored me. I'm going to out myself a little bit here. I had the
You better watch out because we're super transphobic, bro. Like, we're anti-gay, dog. You're going to be kicked out of the church tomorrow.
No, I mean, like, I just, looking back, I'm like, man, I was a little bit stingy with church funds, and I was coming from an attitude of self-reliance, and I really thought that my stewardship, my role was to be that person that was going to lift up everyone else and not just give out handouts.
You mean as a leader, you felt you were being stingy?
Yeah.
So you were the negative stereotype that
so you were who he was talking about.
Yeah, we found the one. We found the one. And how long were you living up to every negative stereotype? By the way, what's so funny is Ben Kaiser saying I was being stingy means like he was being 90% generous instead of 95. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like when the librarian's like, actually, I'm not very smart, and she's read every book in the entire place. Right. Okay, yeah. So here we've got our worst case example, Ben Kaiser telling us, okay, so now that he's validating every negative stereotype of Beau Oyler, what were you saying, Ben? No, I'm just kidding. So keep going. You felt that you were too not generous enough, right? So keep going. Hit it.
Well, I think we had these conversations in our bishopric and in our branch councils about some of these things, and we would pay for appliances and new decks and rent, like all these things. And there came to a point during my service where I was like, and I don't know why I felt this way, but I was like, man, we're doing so much. And I started questioning things. We were still doing it. We were still writing the checks and helping people, but there was a bit of resistance on my end. And that prayer was adamantly and vehemently answered when we met with our stake president. And he told us, this is ridiculous. And I left that meeting, not only, chastisement from the Spirit aside, just going, wow, like I have given so much of myself, and when I raise my hand to the square and I make that covenant, I never had a more stronger witness that I don't know if this is too orthodox, but everything that I have is in my mind the Lord's, and that's covenant aside, because everything I have I've prayed for. And so in that case, or in that instance, or that context, it's his. And so after that experience, I thought, whenever I get a prompting, whether
wait,
that's
is it his as in Jesus Christ and God's, or is it Russell M. Nelson's, the prophets?
Oh,
because
it's
it's
Christ 100%.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Because Beau Oyler told me that we were raised from a young age to support the church and the prophet. So I think you misspoke. As a lifetime member of the church, are you sure you just represented yourself properly?
100%, 1,000,000%.
So when
I
you
would
say,
even-
what did your stake president say when he said this is ridiculous? He was saying this is ridiculous that you're even thinking twice about it, or you're not giving enough, or you're giving too much. What was this is ridiculous mean?
Yeah, it was, these are sacred funds. These are the Lord's funds. And frankly, he shared with us some of the stake statistics on giving around the different branches and wards, and we were on the low end. And he said, brethren, I know there's a need in this area. I know that you have people coming to you. Again, not that we were turning people away at all, but just the fact that we were having those discussions and even divided on certain aspects of our stewardship. That in his mind was ridiculous. It shouldn't even have been a thought. And of course, we're working with these people to have them become more self-reliant. And of course, we're making sure that we're being a resource and a tool for them to do that. But the whole goal isn't necessarily to just write them down on a list. And we have some cool apps now and whatever. But truthfully, it's to bring others under Christ. Period. And that can help facilitate that. It's not the only motivation. We're helping regardless because we're commanded to. But I felt, like I said, in that moment, that all that just completely, and it's not that we can't use our judgment. Of course we can. But I was so excited and happy, and I share that story whenever I can.
Yeah. So here we are, like literally the most Scrooge McDuck of all of us, apparently, was Ben Kaiser. And even he was like, yeah, I did it, but like, I kind of doubted it for a while, and my stake president said, "Spend the money." You know what I'm saying? So
right.
it's like how far of a cry is that from this? From Beau Oyler literally saying your only job is to defend the finances and the wealth of this church. BS. When he says things that insinuate that, how can you ever take seriously what he says about the child abuse scandals? Like, we don't even have the time to get into his horrible and heinous straw man of I would bet my bottom dollar his talk to the hotline did not go that way. And proof positive is go watch Fair Mormon's last conference where they had one of the Curtin McConkie guys come in and talk about the hotline. And it was one of the most illuminating and I don't want to say faith promoting because it's like I would say restoring faith that people are actually doing their very, very, very best to protect the most innocent in our faith. And what's so interesting is actually how non-political the helpline is and how it varies by state and how all the rulings in all the states are actually different. Like you have to watch Fair Mormon 2025's talk done by the Curtin McConkie lawyer that counsels on the helpline and how the church literally saves thousands from abuse. And the sad thing is if the hotline and the confession pipeline works correctly, it gets absolutely zero credit and avoids a problem. It's almost like the intelligence agencies in America. We only ever hear about the debacles when they go bad, like in the Bay of Pigs disaster.
Right.
But how many assassination attempts have been thwarted because good intelligence agents caught up on chatter, acted accordingly, and neutralized a problem before it even started, and nobody ever knew it happened? The politician gave the speech and went home thinking, man, had another banger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's unfortunately the nature of the helpline. You only hear about these horrible cases when an already excommunicated member 10 years later, despite the church trying to encourage family members to report, even though like they couldn't or else it would violate clergy penitent privilege, thus making the confession non-admissible in court. So it had to be done by a family member that then we're going to blame the church, even though not that, like just these just horrible cases that are legal absolute nightmares, and where the person that got screwed was the kid or was the youth, and you just think this is an absolute failure of the system. But instead of saying the system, no, the church 10 years ago. And I just get tired of that. And it's one thing to say that like we could always do more, which I totally believe. We could always do more, and let us try and always do more. But the way that they twist it to try and make it this woke virtue signal, I'm the only one trying to protect the children, is just gross. And anyway, that's a different podcast for a different day. I'm sorry. So look, we're on the outro here. It's been a long podcast, or it's been a long live stream. It's good to get back into it. I had vocal cord surgery, so I was out of it for a while.
Wow.
But yeah, you guys have been a riot. Before we go, bro, tell us a little bit about your show. My audience is going to be seeing you in studio a lot in the upcoming days, my man. So Hayden and Tanner, tell us about your show, Salty Saints.
Yeah, so a lot of what we do is we talk a lot about the Elders Quorum, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this in upcoming episodes. But basically, we're trying to wake up Elders Quorums across North America, at least. We're trying to shake things up. We're trying to help men, especially dads. So we've got a whole Discord called dadsneedfriends.com, because there's a statistic out there that male loneliness, well, loneliness in general, is about as unhealthy as smoking a pack of cigarettes per day. And so we're trying to combat the male loneliness epidemic by hosting this big Discord called dadsneedfriends.com. And so we have games nights, so you can come, you can game with us like once or twice a week. We do support groups. So we hold like once a week, we have a fireside chat where we just sit with men, we talk with men. And there are a bunch of other channels that we talk about faith and family. We share memes and things like that.
Okay, we got another 2 minutes before we end here. If you have any last super chats you want to get out of your system, make sure you hit us with those right now. Dragon Slayer says, how many problems like this can be solved if you just had more temple rocks? But hey, you guys got some if the package got there. This is Steven Diamond. Yeah, dude, we miss Steven Diamond. He's a great guy.
Cool.
And then Let's Talk Hayden Carroll said, great convo. Enjoy the trailer tonight, boys. Oh, it is
all
true.
right.
There's we oftentimes rent a talent trailer for our guests. And I'll be honest with you guys, you might want to blacklight the mattress, because I heard this one was on a P. Diddy production.
Oh,
before
nice. All
it
right.
was, before it was.
This just got interesting.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly. There's baby oil underneath the sink still. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, straight from Star Wagons, you guys are going to be sleeping in a talent trailer tonight.
Fantastic.
In a dark field next to the back lot. Ben, where can people find you, bro? You've been on our show a lot lately, dude. Where can people find you?
Just on X is going to be the best way to find me. It's Benjamin Kaiser, and hit me up on there. But one more point. I know we're wrapping up, but I loved what you guys had said earlier about the comparison to the priesthood meeting and the Relief Society meetings at General Conference. I seriously thought I was going insane for a little while, being the only person who had noticed that in my life. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys brought that up.
Dude, well, what did you notice?
Well, I noticed that, and I think you and I actually had a personal conversation about this, is that it's typically like such a beatdown for men all the time. But I got to be careful how I say this, because I don't want to come off too crazy here. But the fact that leaders can get up there, these are prophets, apostles, even leaders, and just completely self-deprecate their entire introduction to the talk and just talk about, oh, my wife is literally like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and she's way more spiritual than me. It's like, buddy, you're the leader of this vineyard, and like, I know you have a partnership there. It's like, but what is with that? Like, I don't understand that. I don't know how it sows seeds of faith or anything, and it comes across as so disingenuous. And I know they love their
No,
wife,
it's because they're mortified feminists, bro. The way you get around the loud feminist is by saying, well, she does have a point, and the more you let the ladies, it's that backdoor beta cuck, like just boomer thing, and it cost us, because we basically just ceded that ground. Instead of maintaining the balance of the yin and yang, we let the motor get out of whack until it shook itself and all of the nuts and bolts on it apart. And now we've lost the moral rectitude of women, and we've got more men going to church than women. And it's like, are we surprised?
Well, it poured gas on the fire, because you tell that to women for a generation, and they're going to turn around and say, why aren't we in charge?
Yeah.
Like, give
Wait a
us the
second.
leadership then. You know, if we're better
women
than
are the
you,
superior gender,
If we are
why
more
isn't the superior
So,
gender in charge?
they're equally confused. They're like, hey, you're telling us we're better than you. We should be running the show then, right? and then men have to come back and say, well, no, you're better than us, but we're still going to run the show, and then everyone's unhappy in that conversation.
Okay, last question. We were wrapping up, but I have one last question for you guys. Do you think anytime soon our church leaders will start standing up to feminism? I think Dallin H. Oaks kind of did. There was an opening salvo in that general conference talk where he said, the world has declined in its birth rate. I tell you to go plant a garden and have more babies. I tell you right now, I already have a testimony of Dallin H. Oaks as a prophet of God, which really surprised me because he was one of my least favorites. I'll be honest with you. I'll just be totally honest with you. He was one of my least favorites. All right. Not quite Dieter Uchtdorf bad. All right. But like he was one of my least favorites. Second behind Boyd K. Packer. Because whenever Boyd K. Packer would talk, it's like, what homophobic thing is going to be said now that I have to explain to my friends tomorrow because it's in a headline of the New York Times. That impersonation cost me. So,
but you were dedicated.
Yeah, but I was dedicated.
You stuck to
so
the
it's
bit.
like, I'll be honest, like Dallin H. Oaks was not up there on my top 3 list. He just skyrocketed to number 1 because what did I say on the show many times when you were on the show, Ben? What did I say? How would I know when there was a prophet of God back? Do you remember what I said?
No.
Somebody in a super chat right now, I will send you a free t-shirt if you get this right. If you get this right, what did I say? Because this is my first live stream since Dallin H. Oaks has been called as a prophet. All right. Tell me, what did I say multiple times over multiple years in a longitudinal study? What did I say would trigger me to know that like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is back and we've got an alpha male super Chad prophet back? What did I say that prophet would say? I'll give it another like 10 seconds. I said, I'll know we are back in business when we have a prophet of God that gets up in general conference to the entire body of the church and says, is it coming in? Is it coming in? It always takes about 10 seconds for the super chat to come in. So I'm giving 10 seconds to the audience here. In fact, I'm actually going to put it up. I'll know that we're back in business and have a prophet of God when... No, my audience failed me here. They didn't remember. Okay. When I said there is a prophet that gets up and says, in the name of God, I command you to have more children.
Oh, hey.
Yep.
And dude, we got basically the next best thing. The next best thing where he just said, not only do I command you to have one more child, but there it is. It just came in late. Oh,
Yahtzee.
there it is. Says to have more kids, right? Says Mage J. Lewis. You know what? Good enough. You get it, Mage J. Lewis.
Got it.
So Mage J. Lewis, authenticate who you are and send us an email on wardradio.com, and I'm going to give you a free shirt coupon code you can then take to our merch store and then get a free shirt from our merch store. Speaking of which, guys, we have in stock. Can you pull a couple of those hats from behind you?
Yeah.
Aiden?
Do you have colors that you want me to show?
Yeah, sure. Just grab the first couple you got, and the new white and gray Ward Radio hats.
Let's see these.
Yeah, dude, we got some stylish ones here. This is a fundraiser for Ward Radio. We've got the cool War in Heaven veteran hats, and the standard Ward Radio hats are available in the Ward Radio merch store. After you're done picking up a hat, don't forget to also pick up a shirt. Okay, if you want to contribute to the program, please hit us up on Zelle or on Venmo. We're available on all of those platforms. Also, we've got a super fun Discord. Okay, the Ward Radio Discord is amazing. There will be links to the description of this video to the Discord. You've got to join. It is the most fun. Have you guys been on the Ward Radio Discord yet, or have you been too busy cultivating your own vineyard?
I'm a member, I believe. Yeah, we actually have a lot of overlap between our two Discords. It's great.
Really?
Yeah, we got some fun members.
Okay.
Shout out Merlin's freaking beard. I think he's one of the flagship members that came from your Discord to ours. So
And quadruple digit. Yeah.
Yeah, quadruple digit. Yeah.
All right, rock on. Yeah, so we're doing great things over on the Discord. I I wish everybody would just join. It's free to join, doesn't cost you
Super
anything. It's a service that we do. It's totally awesome. So anyway, other than that, where can people find you if they want to see more about you guys on Salty Saints?
So we're on YouTube at The Salty Saints. We're also on Instagram. We do just kind of a lot more short form stuff there. And that's at The Salty Saints as well. And then if you want to come and join some of these game nights or fireside chats or things like that, then you can come join our Discord at dadsneedfriends.com.
All right. Awesome. It's been real, and it's been fun, and it's been real fun for this and more. Please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com.
I built a rocket in my basement. I'm gonna fly it to the moon. This supersonic is